You're tuning in to the Raised by Rentals program. This podcast will contain strong language and spoilers for decades-old media properties.
Join us.
Welcome, everybody. This is the podcast where we examine pop culture franchises of the VHS era, improv news stories, and infest your brain with earworms, just like Khan when he put that SETI eel larva in Chekhov's ear in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is the first of many callback pop culture references we'll grace you with as we imagine how we might improve our favorite movies, TV, and games. I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And we were raised by rentals. Mike, what were you doing in the summer of 1998?
Well, first I have to say they put creatures in our bodies. Sorry, you mentioned that and I have to talk about it. Summer of 98, I was working at Media Play and listening to many of the crazy songs we have discussed on this very podcast.
Exactly. There's no sense in burying the lead because we need to talk a lot about the summer of 1998. So I will just go ahead and introduce the episode topic today, which is a return to our late night double feature picture show and the midnight drive-in double feature installments of the Vengabus of Death, Part 3.
Yes, indeedy. Oh my God, I can't believe we are coming back to this, but you know, it goes without saying.
We like to party.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So
I immediately started dancing, even though I fucking hate that song.
I know, right? Oh God, this it's funny. Now we discussed doing a third Vengabus entry in our second entry. We jokingly said, should it be a trilogy? Like, what would be the next song? You had mentioned Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, and that is a damn good pick. I will still say that is a damn good one. But there is something you had given me an idea for way back in our very first episode of the Vengabus of Death, where you had talked about working at a car wash. And listening repeatedly to a particular song.
Oh, yeah.
That drove you insane, which led me to thinking, wait a minute, why were we looking for a song? It was in the first episode all this time. So, the third entry to the Vengabus saga will be 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies.
The goddamn Chickadee China song. Oh, God.
But that's the entire reason that this even popped into my head way back then. When I first threw it out at you, it was like, oh my God, imagine that I did my whole pitch. Because I was re-listening to the Vengabus, the first one, and I'm like, 1 week, that is pretty funny. And then in my head, I kept hearing, yes, man, 1 week, something like that. Manic, opening to the song. And I was like, that could be really fun. We could play with this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, yeah. That's why I asked you what you're doing that summer, because I remember what I was doing that summer, and that is I was working at a car wash, a Nissan Infiniti car dealership, where they would wash the customers' cars who came in, to get their cars serviced. My father-in-law was one of the head mechanics there. So this was I had been dating his daughter for a while, and then he got me a summer job after high school, and he was basically down in the other side of the room the whole time that I was working, and it was a really fast-paced environment. We were I was at the bottom of the pecking order, bottom of the ladder, and all I did was just wash cars by hand all day long because they didn't have a drive-through car wash at this particular service shop. And so it was me and this one other guy. We would just tackle cars with, spray bottles and brushes and big sponges and stuff over and over and over again. And there was two guys who worked next to us who were the senior, guys in that department, and they would detail and wax cars. So they would just do maybe 3 a day while we were doing like 30 a day or more, and but we worked so close that they were constantly getting pissed at us because like a drop of water from our hose would like fall onto one of the cars that they had just spent 45 minutes waxing, and then they had to fix the wet spot. So we had to come up with this like really careful way of like using a hose of high speed, high pressure water 3 feet away from like a freshly waxed car and not get any water vapor on it at all.
Oh God.
So there was always like this high pressure, and it wasn't helped by the fact that the guy who was in charge of the other side of the room, the guy who was detailing cars, was this young, super energetic dude, maybe 20 years old, and he was the kind of guy who would just be so excited to come to work, like he'd run in the door and just be like woo, and like get everybody pumped, and he would crank up the radio, and I'm assuming it must have been like Kiss 98.5, and I swear to God that shit would play the same 10 songs on a loop all day. But God forbid you touch his fucking radio and try to change the station. So instead, we had to listen to Ghetto Superstar and You're Still the One and My Heart Will Go On and fucking Walking on the Sun and the goddamn Chickadee China song over and over and over again.
Oh my God, that's too fucking funny. Yeah, no, I mean we talked about this when I worked in media play, but again, We Like to Party by the Vengabus. That was one of the ones that I had to hear a lot. Friggin' Mambo #5. I don't know if that was what, 99, I think. That was a little later. That wasn't 98. But yeah, it was this constant loop of like catchy pop songs, which are fine, but when you're forced to listen to them ad nauseum, even if you're okay with a song, like I'll give you a perfect example. I love the Beastie Boys. I like the song Intergalactic. I really do. Took me years to be able to listen to it again because it was played on a fucking loop at Media Play.
Hmm.
So I had to hear it over and over and over again. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about this anymore. Like the fucking robot voice is haunting me. It's like
Right?
after a while you can't do it anymore. So even though I do love the Bare Naked Ladies and I genuinely like the song One Week, I can see how listening to it over and over again would drive you crazy, as I kind of did that to myself this week. I listened on a loop to God, We Like to Party, Cotton Eye Joe, and One Week because I was trying to get in the
Oh
mindset for
God.
this,
Are you
and I kept listening to them over and over again.
are you sure you're still sane? Like, are you hanging in there?
I don't know if I'm sane, but
I might need to like call in a mental health check on you.
well, I have told the psych floors at the hospital to keep a room ready for me, so
Yeah, and I will say, like, I do genuinely like that song a lot. And my wife, Christina, picked on me for years. Every time the song would come on, she'd be like, "Oh, what's your favorite song?" and like crank it up.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken.
But again, I really like the song. I liked the song before I was subjected to listening to it over and over and over again all summer. And like it's been decades and like, yeah, I look back and those memories like, kind of haunt me, but I really like the song. And I was a big fan of Bare Naked Ladies prior to this because I got their debut album, Gordon, and used to listen to it over and
Hmm.
over and over again. I fucking loved their second album, Maybe You Should Drive, even better, which I think to this day that album stands out, or stands apart rather, from the rest of their discography. And I think that the style is a little bit different. It's a little bit more folk rock. I think they let Stephen Page like write a little bit more of that one. I'm just, kind of guessing, but man, I fucking loved that song. It was, Alternative Girlfriend. That song like was
Hmm.
it just embodied the whole album for me. So I was a big fan. I mean, I'm a They Might Be Giants fan. I like new wave. I like that type of, that type of rock. And Bare Naked Ladies was the perfect accompaniment to someone who's a fan of like They Might Be Giants. So, going into that job, that first time that it popped up on the radio, I was like, hell yeah, that's my jam. And I'm like scrubbing, like, road grease off of somebody's like, rims or whatever. And then it was like, oh, it's on again. Okay. Oh, it's on again. And, by the end of like the first week, I was just like, chickadee China, chickadee China, chickadee China.
Exactly. It drives you insane.
Oh God.
But to be fair, there actually is something to that. I mean, one of like a psychological torture that has been used for decades now is playing a song on repeat or playing a sound on repeat. Because as human beings, if we keep hearing the same thing over and over and
Hmm.
over and over again, eventually it will start to wear you down. So there is some science behind that. When you hear the same fucking song over and over and you're trapped in an environment that you can't walk away from
Hmm.
and you have to just listen to it, it's gonna freak you out. It's gonna fuck you up. It's gonna make you mad.
Yeah.
And I feel like anyone who has worked in any kind of retail store or any kind of restaurant or anything where they have like a canned music playlist
Hmm.
that just plays on a loop, I feel like everyone can relate to this because I know so many people who have stories about this type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I love this song. Like you mentioned it, and I just immediately started like doing the rap parts, because it's a great song.
Mhm,
But like, ah, God, like it gets like yeah stuck in my head. And there was a lot of songs, right? So kind of going back to the concept of just 1998, like as a theme, like that
mhm,
year was crazy for like banger pop hits. I started trying to make a list of the songs that I heard on the radio that summer. Um, you know, in addition to the ones I already mentioned, there was like, Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry and,
yep.
Thank You by Alanis Morissette. I started writing them down, the ones that I remember hearing. And it was like I just kept writing and I kept writing and I kept writing. And I'm like, I think I just wrote 30 songs and I just Googled it. And here's a top 100 list of, the top 100, popular songs in 1998. And it's just like banger, 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 right down the list. Like, I can't believe that all of these songs came out this year,
Mhm.
including the song that was voted as the official song of my graduating class, 1998, which was Time You for Life, Good Riddance by Green Day.
Mm. Yep, and same. Same
Yeah,
with my graduating class. I feel like everyone that graduated in 1998
yeah.
had that fucking song.
Yeah, so it's not like it's a bad song. It's just that there were so many great songs, but for whatever reason, Kiss 98.5 is like we can only play 10 of these at a time on a loop. It's like, can I put on anything else, please? Any other radio channel? But anyway, yeah. So just a little bit of background because I think we should dive right into this, and we can get more into facts and figures about the song and stuff kind of as we get into the story. But everyone who's listening to this in our 102nd episode is probably familiar with what we're doing and what the Vengabus of Death is. But in case you're not, in case this is your first time listening or you're a new listener, go back to season 2, episode 52. We already mentioned it was called the Vengabus of Death. It was one of the first like original storytelling improvs that we did. Not entirely original because it was based on the song We Like to Party by the Venga Boys, but it was like that was just a launching point for a story that we came up with
Mhm.
entirely on our own. Something that you thought of one night and texted me in the middle of the night, like, dude, the Vengabus of horror is coming to get me.
Oh my god. Stoned off my ass, misremembering the lyrics to a song and just being like, why were they running? Why was everybody running? Was
Yeah,
the Vengabus trying to kill him?
exactly. Oh
Oh
man.
my god.
So we launched a two-parter that summer, the late night double feature picture show. I followed up your crazy idea with my own of like, okay, I'll do an original story based on something kind of bizarre. And in my case, it was a meme, specifically a dumpster fire, and then we came up with hot garbage.
I
um,
I fucking love that one too
yeah.
because it has it has a Frank Henenlotter basket case Frankenhooker
Mhm.
vibe to it, and it scratches that itch I have for like dirty 80s New York.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
there's something about that in film, just that gritty, grimy New York City from like the late 70s and early
Hmm.
80s, and that was kind of the setting for Hot Garbage, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. That's all. I do really like the episode too. Like, if I do say so myself, but it was like I did that. I came up with that idea because I felt like I had to raise to the challenge of like the bar you set so high with the Vengabus of Death. I was like, holy shit! It's like a slasher movie at an amusement park. It was like in the 2000s or in the 21st century, but set very much in the tradition of 80s slasher flicks, where the killer was a ghost and a bus at the same time.
Ghost bus.
Ghost Bus. And it was, and basically based on the fucking like Six Flags TV commercials with like the dancing old man in the tux who gets people to go on the bus to take them to the amusement park.
It really is a fucking crazy idea when you break it down.
Right?
But it surprisingly worked. Like, and it worked so well that like not only did we get a lot of good feedback on it, but I know you and I revisited it multiple times just in our own listening and being like, God, I wish this was a real movie because like it's so silly and
Hmm.
so just all over the place. It feels like one of those movies that you would marathon on Halloween, just like, oh yeah, put on the Vengabus of Death. Like we got to watch this one, and it's like it hits that it scratches that itch for me of just like dumb fun Halloween horror.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Like I kept going back and listening to it. Like this is our own episode. Like I shouldn't be so full of ourselves that we like listen to our own fucking episodes. But you and I were both
Right?
both doing it and we got good feedback. We knew we were gonna have to do another one. And we did. The next year, in season 3, episode 76, we did Return of the Vengabus, Enter Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, and funnily enough, there is something that happened during that episode that will kick off this episode, but we'll get there in a minute.
Nice, nice, yeah. And I'm just now noticing. I was like, wait, we did Vengabus episode 52, so like not that long after we hit that big 50th episode, and then Return of the Vengabus was episode 76. Again, not that long after the 75th episode, and now 102, not that long after our 100th like anniversary special. That's kind of cool. Like we tend to return to these topics like after we do like these tentpole episodes, and it's like, okay, let's go do something fun now. Something
Right?
where we can just get excited and get weird. you know.
Just be silly.
So that last episode was also followed up by the second part of what was then the Midnight Drive-In double feature, where I followed up Hot Garbage with Bad Rubbish and did a
Hmm.
prequel that to me was little bit of a sequel shift, and I wanted it to be sort of like this revenge fantasy, movie like Death Wish or Walking Tall or something like that, or like Rolling Vengeance, you know.
Right?
And I say this because there will be an episode after this one. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now that there will be Hot Garbage 3, Hot on the Tails.
Yes. Yes.
It is coming. It is coming. And that will be the second part of to which this is the first part of the Rent One, Get One, Up All Night double feature special.
Nice.
Because I had to get more
Now,
elaborate with that series title.
oh, of course, and it's funny because to be fair, I really didn't have a concept for the third one until you had said you had an idea for a third Hot Garbage, and then I was like, okay, I'll have with a third Vengabus, and then that's when I re-listened to the first episode, and the whole 1 week thing hit me, and I was like, oh my god, dude, I got it.
Yeah.
It was like, but it was because you were like, hey, I want to do a third Hot Garbage, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, let's do this, so I'm excited to hear what you have for that one,
Yeah.
because we've been sitting on this for god damn near a year. Um, when you first came up with your third part for Hot
Mhm.
Garbage, you didn't tell me much. You just kind of told me a little hook, a little
Mhm.
piece, a little nugget, and I was like, "Ooh, I want more!" But we had to get to this first, so and then we had all these other episodes ahead of it. So I'm excited to finally be here, where we can return to our to two of our craziest ideas for this show. I mean, I feel like Slasher Camp, while ridiculous, could actually work. Like,
Mhm.
look at the Universal monsters. Eventually, they became silly. They were joining Abbott and Costello. They were doing fun stuff. I could see if all of the slashers were owned by, say, New Line or Warner Brothers or whatever. I could see them being like, "Fuck it, we're gonna put all of our toys in a toy box and make a comedy."
Mhm.
Like, and it would work. Like, I feel like fans would flock to it. People would. So it is a crazy idea, but it's something that logically I could see working. I could only see the Vengabus of Death working in like the coked up early 1980s. Like,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't feel like you could get away with this in a pitch meeting today.
No. It reminds me, speaking of pitch meetings, it reminds me of that skit, and I hope this isn't like too weird of a reference, but from Key and Peele when they do the skit to approve what goes into Gremlins 2, you know,
Right?
where
Oh
it's
my
like
God, I forgot about that.
where everybody's like sitting around the table, kind of come up with like weird ideas for Gremlins, like an electric Gremlin or like a bat Gremlin, and every time it's like it's in the movie, it's in the movie, like absolutely no notes whatsoever, like just the exact opposite of like our improv ruin episodes where it's like nope, no notes at all, like whatever you say it goes in the movie. you know
The vegetable gremlin, it's in
yeah,
the movie.
it's in the movie. And it's
Oh.
funny because there's two things we're doing differently here, and not to belabor the point too much, like we're about to kind of jump into the meat and potatoes, but it's funny because this was a total reversal. You mentioned that I was like kind of pestering you, like, come on, man, I want to do Hot Garbage 3. And that's because, the year before you were pestering me. Like we had done
Hmm.
some other improvs, and then we had done some other original stories, and you were like, oh, dude, come on, I really want to do like, Cotton Eye Joe and like meets the Vengabus, and like, it's like I can do this tomorrow. And I'm just like, I don't know, man, like that sounds great, but I don't know if I want to do Hot Garbage like two. Like I felt like it really worked so well on its own until I don't remember if it was you or me, but one of us realized like, you know, the very vibe that you described the movie has, right? Like this low budget, straight to video, sort of like dirty, sweaty horror movie vibe, like it has to have a sequel or a prequel. Like it has to. How does that exist without some straight to
Hmm.
video sequel? Like you have to do another one. So I was like, okay, fine, we'll do another one. And I was hemming and hawing on like, do I do this, do that? Like I don't know. Like this is kind of dumb. And it wasn't until like the last second, like the day we started recording, where I was like, okay, dude, I got it. And we did this
Yep.
whole story, and I thought it was great. Like I think it's as good as the first one. Like I really enjoyed Bad Rubbish a lot. And then
Oh hell yeah.
immediately I was like, okay, so we're gonna do a part three, and this time it's gonna be a monster flick. And then you were like, whoa, hang on, hang on, hang on. Like we gotta wait, we gotta like just put it on the back burner. I'm like, no, god damn it. And then like how many times have I pestered you over the last couple of months? Like, are you ready with 1 week yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Like, come on, let's put it on the schedule.
And the whole time I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't know.
Oh man.
But to be fair, with this being like the third part, there is a bit of pressure only because like the nature of this show, we do improv. We try to come up with as little as possible beforehand, and then just kind of make up the story on the fly on the episode. The problem when we get into threequels, like sequels are hard enough, but once we get to the third episode, you'll also see this with our return to slasher camp. You have to play with what already came before. So you're going to have some exposition. You're going to have
Mhm.
like, how do all the pieces fit on the board? So much like with that, like I have a whole opening for this already in mind because it's the only way to like make it make sense with what came before. So like there's a point where we're going to improv off of, but like we have to get to that point. And that's where it starts to get hard when we get into these like sequels and threequels, and we've never done a fourth one of any of our projects. So but if we ever get there, that's just par for the course. Like you can't go, hey, we're going to do a third movie and then just ignore literally everything that came before it. You kind of have to do something. You got to tie it together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just teed up exactly the other reversal I was going to mention, which is that this, while we do plan on improving, and I don't know everything that you want to do or maybe had in mind, what we're doing a little bit differently this time is because I had this idea for Hot Garbage 3 and it just kind of came to me in a flash. It was this whole opening sequence. I was like, I know the whole opening, maybe 10, 15 minutes of the movie, and then I don't know what to do after that. Like, we'll improv it, it'll be fun. But that first opening sequence, like, I know every beat of that. Like, it just popped into my brain like whole cloth. And then you were kind of telling me the same thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. How does this work? And you kept putting me off and putting me off. And then finally you were like, okay, I got it. Okay, here's how it goes. Like, we're going to open on this, and then blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, okay. I was like, save that. Just hang on to it. Like, it's the same concept. Like, yes, we're going to improv, but we're going to kick it off based on this, this initial opening sequence or whatever that we had to come up with ahead of time. Because to your point, like, you can't just do it out of nowhere. I mean, I guess we could have, but in order to make them connected in some way, I think we need to have a place to jump off of. And like, I think it's fair to say with Return of the Vengabus with Enter Cotton Eye Joe that there was a period in the middle of the improv where we were
Hmm.
both just kind of fumbling, like, wait. did Cotton Eye Joe kill that person, or like did the Vengabus kill them? Like wait, who's killing people right now, and like why, like what was his motivation again? And we were kind of like lost a little bit, and we brought it together and figured it out. But I think it's because we were just like, yeah, like smash the action figures together, but we didn't really think about like why are they doing all of this? I was like,
Right.
ah, we'll figure it out. But I was like, okay, sure, we probably should have done a little bit of thought ahead of time, and now this time it's okay. So we're gonna lay the groundwork, and then at a certain point it'll be like, okay, this is where we jump off the cliff and we just figure it out.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like that is my biggest problem with the sequel to the Vengabus. Like I still like what we did with it. I still have a lot of fun, listening to it, but there are so many moments where when I'm listening back I'm like, "Ah, fuck, we should have did this instead or we should have did this instead." Because it's easy to look back on it after you're out of the moment and realize the mistakes that you made. But the reason we made a lot of those mistakes is because we didn't properly prepare for a sequel.
Yeah.
We were just like, yeah, improv, yay, and
Yeah.
just kind of ran with it. And then we're like, oh fuck, we fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think we fly a little too close to the sun, right? I think our hubris
Yeah.
gets to us a little bit because we're like, we can fucking improv anything. We've been doing this forever, like, and it's like, okay, yeah, slow your roll a little bit, because
Right.
we get a little like big for our britches, and then we've had a couple episodes. I mean, I will just name them. There was stuff like planes, trains, and Batmobiles, and like the town that dreaded
Mhm.
Festivus. I'll just mention those two off that bat. Maybe Fright Night Theater, where it was kind of like the
Yeah.
ideas were sound, and then when we got in there it was like shit, like I didn't really have anything past the elevator pitch. You got anything? Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the hardest part about doing this podcast in general is you have these fun ideas, but it's like, is it just a collection of ideas or is there a story there? And sometimes once you start, peeling back the layers of the onion, you're like, ah, fuck. It was just a couple of good ideas. Okay, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
And then it becomes work. Then it's like, oh shit, this is tough. How do we do this? And then don't get me wrong, I still would not trade a single one of these. Like I have fun with all of them, but like that is where we do run into issues sometimes. So in the hopes of not doing that, I did write down a whole opening for
Yeah,
this.
for sure, man. Like, let's do it. Like, let's just go ahead and dive in. Like, enough preamble. Let's find out what happens when the Vengabus returns again.
Exactly. All right. So for anyone listening to this that has not listened to the previous episodes, just pause it here, go back, listen, just so you know what we're talking about, and then, come back on in because this is going to pick up immediately after part 2 ends. So, with that in mind, we're going to have a cold opening. We're just going to see the opening of Darien Lake like at night, the smoking flaming rubble of all the cop cars that the fucking Vengabus drove through exploding before killing Monica at the end of the third or the second episode. So we see all this just smoke and fire billowing up into the sky. We pan in toward toward the center of the park, and we see a lone figure walking through the rubble, like kind of staggering, holding themselves, covered in blood and freaking dirt and smoke and all just like all fucked up. And we see that it's Rose. We never killed
Hmm.
Rose. Rose lived, but we didn't talk about it. So Rose staggers slowly out.
So I gotta say, like,
Good.
you're gonna explain how Rose lived, like in story, like in universe, but the reality is that we were both just like,
We
yeah,
forgot.
yeah, exactly. We forgot. We're like, wait, just put her aside, and we'll come back to her later. Like, oh shit, one of them's still alive. Let's get her, and then we just forgot. Oops.
Yep. And see, this is one of those things I was talking about with the problems of doing sequels. Sometimes you get a little ahead of yourself.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but I'm glad we left her on the table because that leads into this. That was the hook I was looking for. So when I re-listened to both episodes, I went, "Son of a bitch, I got it." So
Hot damn.
it's like hot garbage. But we see Rose staggering out. So she like walks past all the flaming cars, staggers out to the highway that Darien Lake is off of, and just starts wandering, like just this lone figure in a daze walking down the highway.
Hmm.
We see cop cars go flying past her, sirens blaring, lights going. And then eventually we're going to cut to a POV shot from inside of a cop car driving, like following the other cars. And we see Rose wandering down the side of the road. The cop car is going to pull over. They're going to, the two cops are going to rush out, be like, ma'am, are you okay? What's wrong? And they're going to get to her. She's going to look at him frantically and then just open her mouth and fucking let out this blood curdling scream. And the camera is going to like zoom in on her mouth and then cut to black. So
Nice.
it's just like, that quick like screech followed by cutting it off, black screen. And it's going to say 22 years ago.
Oh,
Now
nice.
we open
Okay.
in on the proper opening. Now, if you remember, in the very first one, we set it in 2020. So and part 2 takes place only a couple of weeks after part
Hmm.
1. So we're still in 2020 at the start of this movie. So 22 years ago would be 1998.
That's right.
So we're going to open up with a sweaty little annoyed shirtless balding man sitting in a DJ booth chain smoking as music plays in the background. During this opening, we're just going to see like the credits rolling up on the screen and all that. So we see the DJ looking down at a pink slip, letting the
Hmm.
audience know that, his show has just been canceled and he's been eliminated. Like his job is done. So he's sitting there pissed off, smoking away. We hear the tail end of We Like to Party playing on the radio because of course we
Of
do.
course we
It's
do.
1998.
Hey, real quick, I'm sorry,
It's
and maybe you mentioned it and I missed the detail, but you say he's a DJ. Is he like a radio DJ or like a party DJ?
like a radio DJ.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
yeah, like picture like Shred and Reagan or like or I guess Shred and Reagan's a bad thing. They're talk show hosts.
No, no, I get it.
Um
Yeah, it's just a guy on the
yeah,
radio
like
plays music. I
that
get
was
it.
that was a big thing in the 90s. You always had like the Wolfman Jacks of the world,
Hmm.
that type of thing.
Yeah, radio was a big
Um
deal back then.
exactly. So, but he's just his job's been eliminated, so he's sitting there pissed off, like sweating in his little booth with no shirt on. Just like I'm picturing this like bald dude with like hairy shoulders and a hairy back, just like if Danny DeVito was a DJ,
Yeah, perfect. I can picture that.
So at the tail end of the song, we hear We Like to Party. Then the DJ looks up and we see this gruff man standing there, like standing outside the window, like pounding on the window, holding up a sign that says "Play the fucking list, asshole." And the DJ looks away in disgust, and then we see the on the air sign flash.
Okay.
So he comes in, he's like, "All right, all you party people, it's your good pal Buck Naked Jake playing all the hits."
Buck naked chick.
Of course, Buck Naked Jake.
Oh, that's so
That, that,
perfect.
ex- that explains why he's shirtless, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. And like you said, like just like there was these like, Shred and Reagan or like it was a time when Howard Stern was the king of all media. Like, and he was a fucking radio
Yes.
host. Like, radio for some reason just really ruled the world in a lot of different ways. Like, MTV was probably top of the heap for, a period, right? Especially in the 80s and like up to like the mid
Oh
90s.
yeah.
But man, for decades, radio not only were these guys big celebrities, they were influencers at a time when the concept of social media and that word didn't really exist, but they were
Mhm.
also they were like power brokers. Like they were the kind of guys who could like make or break somebody's career, just by playing a song or saying something nice about them. Everybody wanted to be, quote unquote, on the radio, and being on the radio
Oh
was
yeah.
a huge thing. I remember I was in this like local Buffalo metal band in the early 2000s, and they played one of our songs on 103.3 The Edge, one time at like 2 in the morning as part of an advertisement for a music event where they played like a bunch of like random music they would never play. But we were still so fucking excited because they played our song on the radio. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, dude. Well, shit. Like, I mean, the band that always comes to mind with that particular thing, and like a DJ playing them and making or breaking them is the B-52s.
Oh
The
yeah.
B-52s were relatively unknown. They were big in like their local area, but it was because a fucking DJ, I want to say it was in California, a DJ kept playing them that they started getting more and more popularity. And as
Hmm.
their popularity grew, more DJs started playing them, and then they became known nationwide. And next thing you know, they were a fucking huge band,
Hmm.
and they were huge in the fucking 80s and early.
Yeah.
And it's all because they happened to catch the ear of some DJ who liked their quirky sound because it was different.
Yeah. And there's a
And it
ton
was
of
like,
stories like that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And so yeah, DJs were a big deal back in the '90s. So I figured, and they always had some kind like Wolfman Jack, or
Mhm.
like you said, Shreddin' Reagan. Like they had different names. So I was like Buck Naked Jake. It's just fun.
That's perfect.
so,
All right.
and so he's is your old pal Buck Naked Jake playing all the hits, and he's like, that was "We Like to Party" by the Vengaboys. Coming up next, we have the most requested hit of the summer. "One Week" by the Bare Naked Ladies, and then he hits play and he just looks pissed. So the DJ looks up as the music kicks on. We hear the "Yes band 1 week" starts going, and he just fucking snaps. Now through this whole sequence, we're only going to hear the music. We're not going to hear any dialogue. Where it's just going to be violent things happening on screen while "One Week" plays in the background.
Nice.
So we're gonna see he storms out of the booth with a deranged look at his eye and heads right toward the secretary in the lobby. And we hear the, "It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry." And he just grabs her neck and fucking snaps it to the side.
Yes. Okay.
Just
Start off with the
murder.
action. Yeah.
People start screaming and running around as the DJ storms through the building. The music continues to play as the credits roll, and I love this one. So we get the line of, "I summoned fish to the dish, although I like the shelly swish, I like the sushi because it's never touched a frying pan," as he grabs a guy's head and shoves it in the lobby fish tank and is drowning him. And
Yeah.
we see a POV shot from inside the fish tank and this bald little man just smiling, wearing like aviator shades.
Hell yeah. I love it.
So then we cut. He's in the break room and people are scattering. We hear the "chickadee China," the Chinese chicken. You have a drumstick and your brain stops ticking. He grabs a discarded chicken bone, breaks the end off, and just stabs a guy in the jugular. And he's like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah," just like gurgling blood.
Yes.
It's I'm the kind of guy that laughs at a funeral, can't understand what I mean. Well, you soon will. We see the DJ laughing, covered in blood, dead employees all around him, a woman cowering in the corner as he just approaches, like reaching toward the camera. And then we're going to cut to the boss in his office calling the cops.
Mhm.
And we hear the, "Gonna get a set of better clubs, gonna find the kind with tiny nubs, just so my iron zone aren't always flying off the backswing." We see him booting the boss's office, see a bag of golf clubs sitting there. He grabs a fucking 9 iron and starts beating the boss's skull in. Just
Yes.
fucking cracking his skull open, brain and visceras flying all over the place. The cops bust in. The DJ standing there, smile just covered in gore. And it says, "I have a tendency to wear my mind on my sleeve. I have a history of losing my shirt. It's been." And then he rushes the cops and they fucking shoot him. They gun his ass down. So he falls down, got this big shit-eating grin on his face as he's laying there bleeding out. The screen then just suddenly cuts to the title card where it says, "The Vengabus Saga, 1 week to live."
Yes. Oh god. Okay, I already love this.
I mean, I know it's a crazy opening, but so then we're gonna do another time jump. It's gonna go black screen and then say, 22 years later. So we're now back in 2020.
Mhm.
Or maybe it could be like even it doesn't have to be 2020. Maybe it's like 23 years later. Maybe it's the following year after
Mhm.
the Mr. Six incidents. Yeah, I like that better. So 23 years later.
Okay.
We open up on our protagonist, who's going to be a young woman named Jillian. She's a college student sitting in front of a computer reading intently. We pan the camera around behind her so we can see what's on her screen, and we see the news articles about Buck Naked Jake and the whole murder spree
Mhm.
in a place called Price City, where he was just like the local DJ. And we just see like crime scene photos, none of the gore, just like police tape around the building and
Yeah.
yada yada. Um, so we she jots down in her notebook, next to that's lying on the desk next to her, like, Buck Naked Jake murders. And then we cut to Jillian in class, where it's like a deviant behavior class. They're discussing murders and killings that
Mhm.
took place, or that real world killings that took place where the killers claimed they were inspired by music.
Okay.
So we could have stuff on the board like how Charles Manson claims that Helter Skelter and Piggies and Blackbird, from the
Mhm.
Beatles, inspired him and his people. Or like how Robert Bardo said that Exit by U2 inspired him.
Yeah.
Or even Richard Ramirez saying that The Night Prowler by AC/DC
Yeah.
inspired him.
Yeah.
There's so many real world examples. So we would have a bunch of those like on the board, and we could have the professor like, maybe he's talking about like he's ending a dissertation talking about Richard Ramirez, claiming that, he tried to blame ACDC, but the guy was just freaking nuts, that whole thing. That he could look out to the students and be like, any others? Can any of you mention it, or any of you remember any others? And so one of the other students will mention the Mr. Six killings, and the teacher's going to laugh and be like, yeah, it is believed that the incessant repetition of the song We Like to Party led him to commit those murders at Darien Falls, although it was never confirmed by the killer himself since he died alongside his victims. And he'd be like, any others? And Jillian could bring up Buck Naked Jake in Price City and, have him, smile and be like, ah, yes, the mad DJ. Again, much like the Mr. Six murders, there's no way to truly know if the song inspired the murder spree, but it's well documented that One Week was the last song he ever played before killing 16 people in the radio station that he worked.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I love the idea of just this DJ going on a murder spree while like the music plays.
Reminds me of like working in that car wash that summer. Like every time that dude next to me, he would get all excited, like, "Woo, that's my jam!" And I just wanted to turn around and like just fucking beat him with like a bucket and a chamois,
Stick the high pressure hose in his mouth and be like, "Arr!"
Exactly.
Choking him out with it. Oh god. But yeah, so we're gonna see Jillian go throughout her day. Like we're leading up to the point where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, it's time to improv. But we'll see her going throughout her day. Her in class, Jillian at lunch, in the library doing more research. We could even see on the computer monitor that she's reading about the only survivor from the mysterious murder spree that took place in Darien Falls only a year ago. So it could be, we'll see Rose on the computer screen.
Yeah,
Eventually, Jillian goes back to her dorm where we're going to meet her roommate, Lisa.
Lisa.
I didn't really give her much of a personality, but I feel like we haven't used that name.
Yeah, no, that's a
So
good name. Yeah,
yeah, I'm picturing Lisa looking like you remember The Craft? There was the chick Rochelle, played by Rachel True. Her, I feel like
Rochelle.
Lisa would look like her.
I gotta look that up. Hang on, I haven't seen the craft. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that's exactly who I was picturing. I was like, wait, let me just double check because I haven't seen the craft in a long time. That was one of those movies like of our generation, or maybe it was more of a millennial movie, but I just never got into it.
Yeah, I remember I went to go see it in the theater with the girl I was dating at the time, and I was just kind of like, meh, like it's not one of those movies that I love or one of those movies that I don't like. It's neither. It's just one of those like if it's on, cool.
Yeah.
But I also don't go gaga for it. Like I just recently saw it at the drive-in,
Hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's a good movie. Like
Yeah.
it's got the moments that I like, but there's nothing about it where I'm like, oh my god, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just kind of like, yeah, like it's a perfectly serviceable movie that does what it needs to do. And yeah, I'm sure it's great. And I get why people like it. It's just not for me. I do like to recommend it to people, again, because I think it's one of those movies that stands out for like our generation or again, older millennials. I definitely think, it's like a milestone movie for elder millennials.
Mhm.
So I definitely recommended it. And I have like my kids have seen it. But again, it was more of like, okay, well, this is an important movie, even though it's not really
Right.
like my jam.
There was also a time in the late 90s, well, mid to late 90s, where like witchcraft was the it thing.
Hmm.
Like you would see like witches, and it wasn't necessarily an evil thing. It was just like, oh, like people got power because they're doing witchcraft, and like you would see that in like Buffy and Charmed and like movies like The Craft, and there was all these like movies and TV shows that dealt with people doing, black magic for both good and bad.
Yeah.
So The Craft kind of it fit during that pop culture zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Um,
And I didn't like any of those things. Like I was never a Buffy fan. I hated Charmed. Like Practical Magic was
yeah,
like okay, I guess. I think Death Becomes Her might be my favorite of that group. The Witches of Eastwick is
I'm
maybe a
with you
little
on
bit
that
more
one.
of a Generation X movie, but even those, I mean, I didn't love them. But yeah, Death Becomes Her, I think it's a funny movie.
I like Death Becomes Her a lot, but yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I did like Buffy. I did watch most of Buffy as it aired. I want to say I watched up to season 5 as it was airing, and then it wasn't until like 10 years later that I ever finished the series.
Yeah.
After me and Jess owned all of them on DVD, I was like, yeah, I'll finish this.
Yeah, no, I am a
Um,
I am a original Buffy, full length theatrical apologist. Like Christy Swanson is the true Buffy.
Oh, I fucking love that. I love that movie too. 100%.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
off the
yeah.
rabbit trail. Off the
So,
rabbit trail. Back on path.
so we meet Lisa. We get some idle banter, just kind of like chatting about their day, blah blah blah. Maybe like Lisa's telling her about like some stupid thing that her boyfriend did, and then she's like, I gotta go to blah blah blah. And we see Jillian's getting ready to go for a run around campus, and Lisa reminds her like, make sure you have your pepper spray with you, and she just smiles and like holds it up on her key ring, like,
Hmm.
yeah, I know. And then Lisa heads to work and Jillian leaves for a run. Now, before the run starts, we see her like going through her playlist on her phone, and she clicks onto a playlist that has a bunch of the songs that were mentioned in
Hmm.
class. So, she's going to be listening to, so we'll have some Metallica in there, some U2,
Hmm.
freaking, AC/DC, all that, as she's just running around campus at dusk. So we're going to see like other people going about their business, but it's going to be less and less people as she's running.
Yeah, I like that.
So,
If I can jump here real quick, just sorry,
yeah.
just to keep derailing, like we're literally in the beginning, like opening sequences. But I think it would be interesting too, just from a like for the soundtrack of this movie. I love all of those. Let's expand that to like songs that people blamed for like suicide too, not just murder. Because there's like,
Yeah.
again, I forget what Judas Priest song they were literally sued for because of like the supposed backmasking, and then there's like Suicide Solution by Ozzy. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff like
Hmm.
this. But yeah, I think it would be just like that would be a great selection of like incidental music to not only have the characters listening to, but like when we're not hearing, One Week or
One
the
week.
Vengabus, like these are the other songs that we hear playing, in the background of the soundtrack, or like, in the back of a bar or whatever. I just think it would be cool if you bought the soundtrack to this movie and it was all songs that inspired people to either kill or kill themselves, which is very
Oh no,
morbid.
100%. Well, no, but that's perfect because like I mean, not for nothing, but art has been long blamed for, deviant behavior in the world, whether it be, self-inflicted or inflicted upon others. It's movies, video games, music, comic books, role-playing game. Everything has become a scapegoat. Art in some kind of fashion has always been a scapegoat for people to do fucked up things.
Hmm.
And I feel like music is probably the most common. I
Hmm.
mean, there was a rash in like the 90s and early 2000s where video games were the target,
Hmm.
but for the longest time, and still like, like into the modern day, people will say like, certain songs inspired them to do certain things. And it's like, that might be true. Like people might just be looking for something to tick them over the edge, and they hear something in a song that isn't there, and they make it their own. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, this is the reason I'm doing this. When realistically, they were just unhinged and they were going to do something bad anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I
Anyway.
love that idea of like having these songs that are specifically from suicides or murders. I like that. So yeah, so we see, Jillian's listening to that and like running around the campus. And eventually, she's gonna kind of like slow down, stop, stretch, and look at her smartwatch, being like, gauging her steps as 1 week starts playing. Now, 1 week is gonna be playing in her earbuds. So again, that's all we're gonna hear. She's going to be like at a part of the campus, maybe like around back of the campus where we're not seeing a lot of people, and there's one person like on the sidewalk, like up ahead of her, kind of standing in shadow. She looks up and she notices that, and it's like, ah, great, they're right where I need to go. And they take a couple steps toward her, and we see as they're still in shadow, but they come out and they just have this huge grin on them. It's just some dude staring, unblinking, grinning at her. It's like, what the fuck? And so, like, we're hearing, it's been 1 week since like that's playing while she's seeing this guy, and he's mouthing something, but we don't hear what he's saying because we just hear the music. So she's gonna kind of like, look behind her, like see that there's no one there, and turn and start running back the way she came, and like keep, darting her eyes over her shoulder. And we see the guy further and further in the distance. So she leaves him in the dust. Like she's just like, fuck this, I'm out. Um, and then eventually we're going to cut back to her like opening up her dorm room, going inside. She's going to set her phone and her keys down on her nightstand, and we're going to do that movie thing where she goes into the bathroom to hop in the shower. We're not going to see nudity. It'll be that thing where it's like the soft focus where we see like,
Hmm.
yes, she is naked, but you can't see any detail because it's all soft focus as she hops in the shower and closes the curtain. So the bathroom door will be wide open, you'll hear the shower and her phone will start ringing. And
Okay.
then it'll eventually go to voicemail. We'll see that she has one voicemail. So now we cut to her getting out of the shower, look down and seeing her voicemail, and think that, oh, yeah, it's probably Lisa. I bet she's going to stay with Bill tonight, like her boyfriend or whatever. But she's going to hit play, and it's this raspy, staticky message of someone in a low, growling voice just saying, "It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side, and said I'm angry." That's going to kind of chuckle and then go, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, and just start yelling. And then it's going to cut and go to static. And she's going to drop her phone like, what the fuck? So
Oh, I
that's
love
the
it.
opening that I have.
Okay.
So now we get to improv from here forward.
Oh Jesus, like you. Okay, okay. My first thought is like, holy shit, where do we go from here? I don't know if we're painted into a corner or if this is just like an opportunity to do all kinds of crazy shit. Um,
So where my mind is going is like, this is clearly a cursed song. Like
mhm,
we're playing in the realm of cursed songs. Um, so it could be, I'm picturing this like a cross between The Ring and Smile, where
yeah.
like in Smile, and which I've said many a time, and you know what? This maybe this is a hot take, but I don't care. Fuck it, sue me. Smile is just a watered down version of It Follows. It Follows is a way better fucking movie. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me and come for me over that, but you know what? Fuck off. It Follows came first, and it was a damn good story, and Smile just basically played with that. Um, but anyway, I digress. But the idea is that there is this person is experiencing the curse, and in both Smile and It Follows, like only the person experiencing it can see what's happening. So,
Okay.
like, in Smile, it's like, okay, you're afflicted by this. You randomly are seeing these people smiling at you, but nobody else sees it. Like, it seems normal to everybody else. You're seeing it over and over. And It Follows, like, you're going to see this random person following you, but only the people that have been affected by the curse can also see it. Otherwise, it's literally invisible to them. So, the way I was picturing with this is that, 1 week to live, obviously, like The Ring, 7 days, that whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, it's that idea. She's got to figure out what the fuck is happening in a week, otherwise she's toast.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Hmm.
she's going to be seeing these people like the smiling fool on her run, but no one else is going to see him. And they're going to be walking at her singing 1 week.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I love this. This is actually a really interesting challenge. Like that's a really great setup with like a whole backstory and like you're establishing like not rules necessarily, but like you're putting some limitations around like what can happen without this, and then at the same time
Mhm.
just like go any direction you want like through this labyrinth. It's like okay.
Right.
Okay, so a couple of things come to mind. Certainly, you mentioned The Ring, which is the first thing I thought of. The Ring and the like cursed video tape. Like, okay, this definitely feels like it's playing in that sandbox. Which that movie's already a couple of decades old, so there's no reason why we can't go back and play around with the same idea.
Right.
But then I was thinking, okay, why her? And why did this crazy person approach her? Is it and here's what I'm thinking is my thought process was okay, is it because she's listening to the song at that moment, or is it because she expressed interest and like some knowledge of the song previously in class? Like there's like what is it that is drawing whoever this kind of crazy person is who that she saw on the run, like what's drawing that to her? And like as you were talking, I was answering my own my own question in my head thinking, okay, well, what if we already have seen her listen to the song a bunch of times? Like she hasn't been in the movie that that we're making up that much, but like we can
Mhm.
kind of lay the groundwork that very much like you did when you were like coming up with all this. It's like, okay, let's listen to the song over and over and over again, getting inspiration. And if she's trying to figure out what made Buck Naked Jake snap when he heard the song, because she is assuming that that is a true part of the story, right? She's assuming that her professor said, "Hey, we
Yep.
don't know for sure," but she's saying that it is. And I'm getting the the impression that what your intention is that okay, so she's in this class, it's like this, abnormal psychology or whatever you call it, and she's intending to write some kind of a thesis on, yes, I do believe there was a connection between 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies and Buck Naked Jake's, murder spree, and I'm going to demonstrate why there is proof or there is a connection. Like that's, her thesis statement, right? So
Right.
of course she's going to want to listen to it over and over and over again to kind of figure out like what would have driven this guy crazy. Like, is it really that bad of a song? So as we like to meet her for the first time, right, in class, we should have her,
Mhm.
not, she has the song up or whatever, she's kind of listening to it like we almost like she's just having it play in her earbud all the time, even like while she's in class, um,
Okay.
and then like while she's
Well, shit.
walking. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We could set that up easily, like right when we transition from the murder spree at the DJ, or at the radio station, where we cut to Jillian watching or like reading on
Hmm.
the computer. Like we could have the song still playing and like zoom in, focusing on the fact that she has earbuds in,
Yeah,
and then like
perfect.
zoom the camera around back behind her, see the information on the screen, but we're still hearing the song. And
Hmm.
then we could do the same thing, like with her walking to class, like we're hearing the song again, and then like her leaving class, we're hearing the song again. Like we could see that she is, just like you said, she's listening to it on repeat. I love that. That actually makes sense to why it would become the cursed song to her,
Yeah.
because it's almost like, and I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but like
No, go for it.
South Park did a thing years and years ago. It was the night of a million shits, where they got away with saying shit on Comedy Central when you still couldn't say shit on
Hmm.
television. They got like there was a pass where they were able to say shit so many times, and they had a shit counter on the screen.
Nice.
So every time someone said shit, they had the counter would go up. And the whole reason, they were talking about how they had these knights of virtue that came to stop them because it's a cursed word.
Hmm.
And using, like, that's why we call them curse words,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah.
use the word over and over and over again, it's actually a curse and it creates problems for people. So the idea of a cursed song is, it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, by playing it over and over and over again, you're unleashing the curse.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely perfect. Yeah, and I like this concept. You mentioned curse word. I'm like, ooh, there's something there. There's a hook there that I don't know what it is yet, but there's got to be something more to it than that. Like, let's figure out how curse word makes sense, right? But anyway,
Mhm.
which is like, again, I know we talked a lot about like what our process is, and I don't know why we've done it so much this particular episode. Maybe we've just been thinking about it a lot. But from a process perspective, that's an interesting part of coming up with the story. Is you hear an interesting thing like that, and you go, huh, how can I use that? Like Jason died in water, Freddy died in fire. How can I use that? Anyway,
Exactly.
okay, so yeah, so the way, and I don't want to like belabor the whole episode, like just trying to get through this opening sequence, but like yeah, so when we first meet her, it would be an interesting like audio effect if the music is playing full blast, like as loud as the movie audio would go while Buck Naked Jake is going on his murder spree, and then when he gets taken down and the scene cuts, it's like right at the end of the song. I just looked it up. The song is 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And the very end of the song, they say, it'll still be 2 days till we say we're sorry. It'll still be 2 days till we say we're sorry. Birchmount Stadium, home of the Robbie, which is like an in joke for people who live in Toronto. And the song kind of
Mhm.
like just fades out. So like, what if when we cut the scene to see Jillian, the audio should cut where it goes from full blast to very quiet and kind of staticky again, like, and then we zoom in on her and we see that it's in the AirPod, like, oh, that'd be a cool like audio effect, um
Yeah,
and
dig it.
then while because the song is about to end, while she's there, the song just immediately starts playing again, right? We home of the Robbie, we have that little bit of static, and then it's been, and it just starts over
Yep.
again, like in the very first scene that we see Jillian, within the first like 10-15 seconds, we know that she's like got the song on loop. So it's like boom, immediately set the stage that that's what we're doing. And then we don't have to spend a lot of time with her. We can get her to that run and get her to see the creepy dude and get her to the voicemail. But by then we'll have already subjected the audience to the song at various volumes like 6 times.
Nice, nice.
And that's that's all I was getting at. Like, she's not the only one listening to it over and over again. All of you trapped in the theater are too.
It's like that hook at the end of The Ring where like they make the videotape and the little boy goes, "But who's gonna watch our tape?" And then they both look at the camera and then it like shows the little ring sequence and then the credits roll like, "Oh no, we've been cursed!" Like the audience has been cursed. Oh,
Oh god.
that's
Okay.
fucking great.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this like creepy dude that she sees like is nobody special. Like from what you said,
No.
it kind of sounded like he's just some random person who is cursed by the song also. And then
Mhm.
somebody calls her, and now she has the curse. Basically, and again, and I'm figuring this out, right? So it sounds like okay. So once the curse is on you, like you've heard the song a certain number of times, or it's just gotten into your ear, like the earworm has finally settled in. It's like okay, so the curse begins, and now they has like a
Yep.
1 week gestation period, and what happens after a week we don't know yet, but obviously something bad, right?
Something
um,
bad.
okay, so we jump right back to there. I feel like she needs to go and talk to somebody, like again, much like in the ring, and I don't want to keep making the same comparison, but like she also needs to be able to talk to the audience, right? So we need to have her, go to somebody and be like, "Oh my God, listen to this voicemail. Like, what is this? Like, whatever. Like somebody that she can kind of bounce ideas off of, so that we can have her, talk to the camera, so we can kind of figure out what's going on in her brain."
Well, yeah,
Um,
I think what we do is after she drops the cell phone like the what the fuck moment, we could do a thing where it's like we see her sitting on her bed, like she's locked in her room, sitting on her bed. Maybe she's like going over her notes or whatever, and it's she's still playing the song, like she's still playing that playlist, um, and then like eventually she goes to sleep, and while she's sleeping, we could see the phone ringing again, and again voicemail. She's gonna wake up and it's gonna be like another verse of the song. So maybe like as soon as she picks up, it's like chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. It's like it's like what the fuck is this? And then she's gonna like when she wakes up though, like maybe Lisa's back, like Lisa's in the bathroom already, and like
mhm.
Jillian could be like, "What the fuck?" and have Lisa be like, "You say something," and everybody like, "Listen to this," and she plays the audio for her. Now we're going to be focusing on Jillian and we're going to hear the audio message. Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Blah, blah. Or hear that. And then we're going to cut to a viewpoint of Lisa and it's just going to be static.
Oh, I see.
And she's going to be like, hear what? Like what? It's nothing. And she's like, you don't hear that? Like, who is this singing? She's like, what's singing? All I hear is static. And I'd
Right,
be like, are you serious? Like you don't hear this. Like they're literally quoting the song "One Week" by the Bare Naked Ladies, and she's like, Jesus Christ, girl! Like I haven't heard that song in a decade.
right.
Just kind of like laugh it off. Like, whoa, you need more sleep. Maybe you've been hitting the book too hard. Like that kind of. And she completely writes it off. So now Jillian's sitting there going like, what the fuck is happening? Like I hear it. Why don't you hear it? So she's going to be questioning her own sanity, being like, why do I hear this but she doesn't? And then maybe we could introduce like some other characters here. So like cut to like Jillian going throughout her day, and like maybe she's sitting in the library, and let's just I don't know. You said home of the Robbie, so we're gonna have a guy named Robbie.
Yeah.
Just like
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I jump
oh
in real
good,
quick before you do the Robbie?
yeah, you go for it.
A couple of thoughts, real quick, before we move on. Yeah, I love this idea that she can only hear. I kind of forgot about that, but I think that's genius. And because we should demonstrate too that it is kind of supernatural. Like, yeah, okay, so she has this voicemail that says 1 week, and then another voicemail that's chickadee China, the Chinese. That fucking lyric, right? And then again, to your point, like Lisa can't hear it, and I think it would be funny if she said something like like the like she has her comment has to be more of like, oh gross, like that's my mom loves that song, you listen to that old shit. you know it's
Right,
like, oh god, we're old. uh,
I know, right?
because they're college students, right? So like, Jillian might be researching it because it's part of her area of study, but Jillian or Lisa doesn't give a shit about some song from 20 plus years ago. you know um
Exactly.
yeah, and so we should have Jillian like be a little bit more frantic about it. Like what do you mean? And we should, and we should show her. And I love the idea that in a lot of horror movies where it's always like get rid of the cell phones because the cell phones make everything easier. But in this case, it's like no, no, let's use the cell phone, and we should actually
Oh yeah.
show her like listen again. And we see that she literally like puts her thumb on the screen and like backs up the little I don't know counter or whatever it is, and she rewinds the voicemail, and it's the same thing like chickadee china, and then again we cut to Lisa who's just hearing static like yeah, and and that's when Julian's like you don't hear the song like blah blah blah, and well my mom used to love that song like wait hang on again, and again we see her rewind the voicemail again, and she lets her thumb off, and this time instead of saying chickadee china, now it's like you hear a different part of the lyrics. Now it's like can I make
Ooh.
films, but if I didn't have a samurai gonna get a set of better clothes, whatever, and it's like wait a second, like didn't that say chickadee china a second ago? It's the same voicemail. Like that's why we demonstrate with the zoom in that like she didn't get a new voicemail, it's the same
Nice.
one you know
Oh, I
um
like that. So yeah, but and then again, the whole time, like Jillian's like confused as fuck as to what just happened, and Lisa's just kind of left in the dark. Like, why are you playing with static? What's going on? Like, what girl? You've been studying too hard. Come on, what's going on? Just like so Lisa is just looking at her like, ooh, girl, you stayed up way too long.
and when I'm thinking like in terms of character, yes, like someone named Robbie, cool. Like let's introduce like somebody else, like somebody that Jillian can befriend or talk to or whatever the hell. But I think it would be interesting if maybe she initially goes to try to talk to like her professor, like the guy who has the backstory or he knows all the knowledge about all these songs. Like what if she like goes to his office and she's like his at the college, and she's like banging on his
Mhm.
door. Maybe she writes a note and like slides it under his door, kind of like okay, let's come back to Professor so and so or whatever, whoever that guy is, like because
Right.
again, that would kind of give us an opportunity for later on for him to be like, look, in class I can only say so much, but like, this is what I heard what happened, at Darien Falls all those years ago, or whatever, right?
Let's not have her go right to the professor because
Okay,
like I feel like okay, if I were to experience something like this, like if I was like, what the fuck is this song, like what is this voicemail, and I played it for someone and they looked at me like I was crazy and like I don't hear anything, I would probably get a second opinion before going to like what I would consider an authority figure or like
sure.
somebody that's like an expert. I would be like, all right, let me ask somebody else. Like, hey, do you hear this? So that's what I was thinking. Like, have her kind of like going about her day. Like, well, she's got to go to class. She's got to do stuff. So like, she's sitting in the library, like, maybe like working on a paper, and she's just like, she keeps looking at her phone. Like, her eyes keep darting to her phone. And then like, yeah, we have this guy, Robbie. Like, so he, sits down next to her and kind of like nudges him, like, hey, did you working on the report for Professor? So like, whatever. Professor John. Well, I don't know. We always use John, but whatever.
Just
Um,
call him Professor So and So. Like you guys just did those Sinister episodes in the Boogeyman's Closet, and there's like,
that's true.
Detective So and So or whatever. Like it would just be funny. Like I don't know, it doesn't matter. Like we'll come up with his name like when we do the final draft of the script.
Right. So Professor so and so, and have her just be like, yeah, and she's like, hey, she's like, Robbie, I got a question for you. This is gonna be weird. She's like, I want you to listen to something. And she plays the first message, like the 1 week, and he's sitting there listening, and he's looking at her, and he's like, I thought you said you were gonna play something.
hmm
And everybody's like, you don't hear that? And he's like, you literally opened up your phone and then never played anything. And she's like, but it's playing right now, and he's looking down and again like show that it's not only audio but visual. So like she's looking down and she's seeing the voicemail play, like the little like
hmm
what is it, a histograph or whatever, like we see that playing, and then we see his point of view and it's literally just her home screen,
Oh, I see.
like it's
Oh,
just,
okay.
and he's like, you gonna play something? And she's like, I am. And he's like, okay, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And like he takes
Nice.
off like, the fuck is wrong with this girl? So it's making her look crazy to other people, but they're not seeing or hearing what she's seeing and hearing.
Nice. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I think that's great. Like to the point what you said, where it's almost like delusional. Like it's not like they're seeing her play a voicemail of silence, but literally like she thinks she's playing a voicemail and they're not seeing anything. Like it's literally like you said, like her screen is
Right.
her phone is locked or it's her home screen or whatever. Like it's so it's obviously 100% in her head. Like there's no actual voicemail of silence or otherwise. It's literally just imaginary.
Mhm.
Okay. All
And
right.
so and this kind of plays like it'll play with not only the isolation factor, but will play with the whole like, am I going crazy factor? Which, kind of leans into the whole Buck Naked Jake thing. Like he played the song so many times, he just fucking went crazy and he snapped.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So it's like we're seeing her going crazy. So again, we'll go throughout her day. She'll be doing stuff, and then maybe yeah, we see her in class with that particular professor, um, and she keeps looking down at her phone, and like maybe she sees another voicemail, like while her phone is silenced, another voicemail comes in, and have her like her eyes go wide, and have her excuse herself from class. And then she goes and listens to it, and it's another line from the song, and then it's like the cackling voice of like 1 week, 1 week, and she just like she kind of closes her eyes and like squints really hard, like, no, what is this? What am I going nuts? Like then she decides I'm going to talk to the professor. So
Yeah.
like after having that experience, so now we do what you said, like she goes to see the professor after class. He's like, oh, Jillian, didn't expect you, but yeah, I got a couple minutes, come on in. Like she like brings up the idea of cursed songs. Like, do you think there's a connection between all of these people claiming that songs inspired them to do murder or inspired them to kill themselves? Like, what if there was something about the song, and have them kind of laugh it off and be like, well, I mean, people are always looking for excuses to do the horrible things that they want to do, like whether it be poor impulse control.
Mhm.
You're not thinking right, you're not in your right mind. People never want to admit the dark things that they're capable of, so they always look for a scapegoat, and music is just an easy scapegoat. And everybody like, you don't think there could be an actual like curse, like maybe one of the songs, like if you listen to it too much it could make you go crazy, and have them kind of laugh it off and be like, now that's a great idea for a movie. Kind of like have it play it out, but now she's still like isolated, she doesn't know what to do.
Okay. All right. Couple quick thoughts. One, we should have her like stop listening to the song, but then also like every time she puts her earbud in to like listen to the voicemail, like the song just starts playing anyway.
Oh fuck yeah. I think what should happen is like we should see her physically delete her playlist, like go into Spotify and just like delete it. And just like, that's it. I'm not listening to the song anymore. And then have, oh, here we go. So that like after the professor, after, she talks to him, and he just kind of writes it off as like, that's nonsense. That's not a thing. Like, ha ha ha, that would be funny for a horror movie. She's like, yeah, okay, and goes about her day. Like we see her walking to the cafeteria, and like she deletes the playlist, right? She goes into the cafeteria, and like maybe on the radio in the cafeteria here, 1 week. Like, so, and she's just like, oh fuck, so she walks away. And like she's walking, just like walking down the campus, and maybe a car passes by and it's like, check it, China, China, check it. She's just
Yeah, yeah.
like so she's hearing it everywhere. But while she's walking, we should see like another person, maybe it's a girl this time, just like in the crowd there's a girl just staring at her, smiling, and she's mouthing something, but she's too far away, you can't hear what she's saying,
Mhm.
and she's walking toward Jillian. So Jillian starts like speeding up, like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. Starts walking, and then she looks, and the girl's still following her. And like she stops, she's like, all right, I'm gonna see what this woman wants. And she like kind of pauses. And
Mhm.
as the woman gets closer, she's going, 1 week since you talked to me, or like 1 week since you looked at me, like doing the whole like, still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry, like walking toward her. And she's like,
Mhm.
fuck this, and then runs.
Yeah.
Because it's like we got her close enough to finally hear what she was mouthing. It's like, oh fuck, it's the song.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. So the next place that I'm like going with this is it seems like what we're coming up with here, like what we're putting together is this very like psychological thriller kind of a movie where we're just going to slowly break down Jillian's sanity a little at a time, just completely drive her crazy because she can't escape the song. Obviously, she's cursed by it. So the horror is like her own mind shattering. That kind of feels like where we're going with this, and we can just
Yep.
ramp up the pressure on the pressure and the pressure. But my other question is like, were you thinking that there would be other types of horror along the way? Like, are we gonna see these crazy people like hurt anybody, or like, is there any blood and gore, or was I on the nose in thinking that like, okay, so the purpose of this movie is to like, turn up the pressure cooker on Jillian's brain until she snaps?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. But I did have some gore moments in mind in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, so like I love like this, again, this idea of like just it's her descent into madness.
Yeah.
um so like, I don't know that we want to go like beat by beat every step of the way every day during the 1 week, but like we could see like maybe we could even do a montage of like, have Jillian like in her bed kind of looking freaked out, eventually like falling asleep, and then like her alarm clock kicks on and it's been 1 week. It's like, she like throws the alarm clock.
Yeah.
And it's like, so she's getting like more and more unhinged, like she's going throughout her week, and like more and more of those smiling singing people are like walking toward her. Now she's seeing more of, like, they're out there, and she's like, what the fuck is going on? No one believes her, no one hears what she's hearing. She's got to figure out, like, is she going crazy, is she cursed? And maybe at first she's like, you know maybe something's wrong with me, like I'm not doing okay, and maybe let's have her go, like maybe she goes and talks to a doctor, like she goes, we see her go in and like talk to a therapist or something, and like explain that she keeps hearing things that other people don't hear, she keeps seeing things that she doesn't think other people are seeing, and have them, like run a couple tests on her and be just like, You're perfectly fine, like everything is okay, like, you might be a little too stressed, maybe lay off the caffeine and get some better sleep, kind of like
Hmm.
everything physically is okay with her. Mentally, she's fine as far as everything, like all metrics are concerned, but she's still experiencing this insanity.
Yeah. Okay.
So, one of the things I do want to have happen, though, that I want to have her see, I don't know where in the week to put this, but I want to have like a group of people following her, all like, mumbling, and have her just like freaking out, and have them get hit by a car, and like just like they're crossing the street, and a
Hmm.
car just mows them down and keeps going, just
Okay.
keeps driving,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's like blood all over the pavement, and like these broken twisted bodies still smiling at her, clawing their way toward her like they should not be able to move, just going, 1 week since you looked at me,
Yeah.
like, and have her just be like, what the fuck, and just like run off screaming.
Okay. Okay. I love that.
So
Okay.
that's some of the gore I wanted to have.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And and sometimes it helps to kind of jump ahead. So like, okay, I get it now.
Hmm.
I'm kind of seeing the vision, right? So, because what I was thinking, the reason I asked that question is I was like, okay, so these crazy people are like smiling at her, they're walking toward her, they're staring at her, unblinking while they're like mouthing lyrics to this song. Other people aren't noticing this, and she's just like, well, what the fuck? And she keeps seeing them more. And I think that as she's like you said, talking to a therapist, she's asking Professor so and so for help. Maybe she runs into Robbie again. Maybe at one point she's like, in I don't know, like the cafeteria or someplace at the college where she bumps into Robbie and she's just sitting there with like her head on the table, maybe even like banging her forehead like lightly on the table, and have Robbie like,
Hmm.
like you're like, what's going on? What's up with you? Like, like did you fail that midterm or whatever? Like he asks her some sort of question like, oh, are you okay? College stress, and then she's just like, I hate this fucking song, like into the beat as she's banging her forehead. And again, from her perspective, then we're hearing the song, like right. It's like
Yes.
it's Ben, and then we go back to him, and then all he hears is like this little like generic like Muzak jazz, and he's like, I don't even know like what this is. Like this is like some piped in nonsense. They play everywhere, and she's just like, oh my god, you can't hear it, And it's like at this point she's realized that like nobody else is experiencing this, and she's just like, I hate this fucking song. um, but then like
Yes.
the people that she's like seeing around campus, like let's ramp it up to the point you had kind of said, okay, let's have this throng that's following her, getting hit by cars and like they can't be stopped. But like before that, we start to ramp it up. She sees people, being creepy with her, and maybe the smiling people as they're walking toward her, it's like she's seeing them like move people out of the way, but like violently, like somebody steps in front of a smiler, and then you see them just reach up and like snap the person's head around backwards and push them out of the way and keep on walking, and and
Nice.
and I'm picturing this one sequence that popped into my head where she's like walking, she's sort of rushing to class, like looking around all nervously, like, oh my god, like I keep seeing these people, and then she sees this guy down on the ground with like a little kid, and he's like choking the shit out of this kid like it's his son, and then he just looks up at her, and he's mouthing the words, and he's like, trying hard not to smile though I feel bad. I'm the kind of guy who laughs at a funeral, and it's like, and she just screams like, oh my god, like what's happening, like, and
Right.
we're seeing the smiling people get more and more violent that way, but of course like nobody else around is reacting, so I think even she would start to realize that it's in her head, but what can she do
Right.
about it, right?
Exactly. It's like, she's clearly experiencing some kind of psychosis here because no one else is seeing it. And I think that would be very clear with the car crash through the 1 week zombies or whatever we want to call them. Like she mows, like they get mowed down. There's blood and gore everywhere, but everyone is just walking about their day. In fact, we should have that be like, maybe it's like on Main Street of like the town she's in or whatever. She's
Hmm.
like walking down the sidewalk, and a bunch of them get hit by some car, and we see like people on the sidewalk, like maybe out in front of like an ice cream stand. They're sitting there like licking ice cream cones, and blood and gore just spatter these people, and they don't even blink. They're just continuing to eat their ice cream, like with blood and brain now in it. And Jillian's just like watching in like, what the fuck? And like the corpses of the smiling people like kind of like their broken bones start snapping back into place, and they're still like talking to her and looking at her, and she just like runs terrified. So like I like the idea of building up to that crescendo. So like what you said with the guy choking out his kid, like maybe she's in the park and we see that, and it's like, what the fuck? And she runs, and then we see like maybe somebody else, like you said, the snapping someone's neck, and it's just she's seeing it's building up, it's building up, it's building up. And eventually we see that big roadkill moment
Hmm.
where nobody reacts. It's like the fucking main street of town, people everywhere, there's a giant bloodbath and no one reacts at all. So she's like, now it's confirmed, no matter what, she can't deny it, she's only seeing that, like she's the only one experiencing this. So now she's got to figure out why and how to stop it, if she can stop it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like where I was figuring we needed to go next too, because I don't know what the answer is. Like, I honestly don't know what the why is, but like she's a smart person. She's obviously, in this university. Like,
Hmm.
she's been doing studies on these like cursed songs. So I think she is smart enough to realize what has happened. Of course, she'd live in denial for a little bit before she's just like, oh my God, like it's me. They've cursed me, and
Right.
and then she's gonna have to start doing some research on it. So I don't want to step on your toes if you have like some thought, like you had mentioned, you had introduced rows earlier on, and okay, so that might be like a clue to like where we go. But like
Hmm.
my thought is like, okay, so she's a student, she's going to have to do some research, like, go to the library
Yep.
to save the day. So, like,
100%.
would it make sense for her to be just like, okay, curse songs, like, I need to find somebody else who has like gone through this, like somebody else who's experienced this, and she's saying this out loud to Robbie or Lisa or some other person in her life who's like concerned for her because she's like not sleeping and not showering and like, her eyes are all like, sunken and gaunt from, being tired and all this kind of stuff, and they're worried about her. She's like, no, I need, like, there's got to be somebody else, like, who's lived, like who's made it through, like some, whatever, some similar experience. And like Rose is the
Mhm.
only person that we've introduced in this world who has survived one of these, like, song curses. But she might not know that initially. She might not understand the Cotton Eye Joe connection, but she might be able to put together the Mr. Six connection.
Right. That's it. That's 100% where I was going. But I think what we should do is have her, while she's researching, looking into like curses in general and like how to break curses, and like, what are the rules with curses. And one of the things we could see like her finding is like, certain curses are unbreakable. You can only pass them on. You can
Hmm.
only curse someone else. And we see that in a lot of films. Like, what is it? In Thinner, it's the,
Uh-huh. Hmm.
here's the pie, you got to pass it on to someone else. The Ring, with the cursed tape. It Follows, you got to, like, you go fuck somebody else and pass the curse along. So we see that that's a constant theme in these types of movies. So like maybe she realizes like there are certain curses that can't be broken, and some you have to pass along. And then it's the whole idea of like, keep that in her back pocket. Like, no, I'm not gonna sacrifice somebody that's sadistic. That's crazy. And it's like, I got to look for someone that maybe someone has survived one of these. Like what can I find? and have her looking at like, the victims of all these different killers, and then eventually stumble back upon the Darien Falls murders and see like, this girl Rose who survived, who was the only one of this bloodbath at this amusement park who survived, and have her look up like, how far is Darien Falls from, where she is. And it's like, maybe it's like a 2-hour drive,
Yeah.
so she's just like, okay. And she grabs her keys and she bolts. She's just like, so we see her, she's in the car, driving along, like driving on the throughway, very intent. Like, we'll do this little montage sequence. And like, she'll be listening to the radio, and then it just like, the next song will be One Wake, and she'll turn it off, be like, fuck you. And she's just like driving. And then like, we'll have like a trucker pass by her, like we'll see a trucker like behind her coming up, and she's seen him in the rearview mirror, and it's like maybe he's like right on her ass, like she's not going fast enough, like she's in the fast lane but not
Hmm.
fast enough, you know, and then he like cuts around her, and we see from his point of view. He's like, like, fuck you, lady, but then she looks over. So, like, we see, like, camera behind him, rolling his window down, flipping her off. And then we see her point of view. He's like hands off the wheel, like half out the window, going, it's been 1 week since you like, and she just fucking guns it, like just down the, like, fuck you, and then have the trucker just like throwing his hands up in the air, like, what the fuck, fucking lady drivers, something stupid like that.
Right.
Oh my god. So then we're gonna cut to the hospital where Rose is. And now keep in mind, Jillian looks like a crazy person at this point.
Hmm.
Her hair's all fucking fly away, like hasn't been cleaned in days. It's all stringy, and have her like come in and trying to like make herself look presentable. And we never gave Rose a last name. So I don't know, Benton. We'll call her Benton, Rose
Ben.
Benton.
Okay. Sure.
So she's like, like, hi, I'm here to see Rose Benton. And have them be like, oh, visiting hours are almost over. What's your relation to the patient? Oh, I'm a family friend. I'm a family friend. Whatever. And have them like, the security guards maybe eyeing her, like, and she's just kind of smiling, like tapping her fingers really fast on the desk, like something's clearly off about this girl,
Hmm.
But hey, she knows who she's looking for. She provides her ID. It's during visiting hours. Well, I guess I'll take you up. So they take her up, and I want to have this thing where it's like, she's in the elevator with the security guard, and she's just kind of sitting there, like eyes front and center, hands folded, looking down,
Hmm.
and security guard's looking over at her, like, raising an eyebrow, like, this fucking chick looks crazy. And then have her look over at the security guard, and he's just grinning, smiling at her. And
Nice.
she's like trapped in the elevator, just like, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. And then like, as he opens the door, or the door opens, and he'll be like, it's room 3 straight ahead. We hear him say that, and have, when we see Jillian, she sees him pointing down the hall, and he's going, chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. She's just like, fuck, and just walks ahead, like, gotta get there, gotta get there, gotta get there.
Oh man. Somewhere
Oh god.
somewhere there's got to be like some like a Muzak version of the song, like playing too. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, so she's gonna go talk to Rose. So like, you have the nurse, at the nurse's station, lets her in the room and all that. Kind of pats her down, does the whole like, do you have anything on you, any weapons, and anything that can be used as a weapon, blah blah blah. And then lets her in the room. She's like, all right, you only got about 20 minutes before visiting hours are over. I'll be back. So she lets her in,
Hmm.
and maybe like as she's letting her in the room, we see like Jillian look over, and the nurse is just grinning, like wide-eyed at her, just like, not, again, she knows this is in her head, like the nurse actually isn't doing that, but she's seeing that.
Hmm.
So she closes the door, and Rose is like, who the hell are you, and then she introduces herself. Now we're going to have this conversation about Mr. Six and the Cotton Eye Joe murders. um so I don't know, like, we don't really need to go into all the details here, because I feel like this would be like a very expositional scene.
Yeah.
um so we just kind of have like, maybe Jillian asks her, like, she explains like, oh, I'm a student at, university, whatever the university is called. um I'm a student there, and I'm doing a report on songs that have inspired horrible events, and I know that you were, and she's just like, oh Jesus Christ, like not another one. And she's
Mm.
like, what do you mean not another one? And have her be like, do you know how many people come here and talk to me about that fucking song and about those fucking murders and about Mr. Six and that fucking crazy asshole? And like she starts yelling at her. And she's like, no, 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 no. You don't understand. I'm experiencing things that I can't explain. Like there's this song, and she goes, yeah, 1 week, right? She's like, what?
Oh.
And she's like, yeah, I've heard it before. And she's like, what do you mean? She goes, you're not the first person that's come to me over this. And now
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
oh shit, wait a second. Like, what's going on here? And maybe she tells her, she's like, yeah, like people always think I'm some kind of fucking guru because I lived. She's like, I was an accident. I passed out. She's like, I saw my friends killed and I fainted. She goes, I woke up and everything was in chaos. She goes, I
Hmm.
don't know what the hell happened. She's like, but everyone thinks that I'm somehow going to tell them the secret, that I know the supernatural cause of all this bullshit. She goes, but I don't. I fucking faced a ghost and a madman, and I somehow lived to tell the tale. I don't fucking know why. She goes, but I know that there is curses out there. I know there's crazy shit out there. I know there's
Hmm.
supernatural shit out there that no one can explain. It's like, I'm not your girl. I can't help you. And
Nice.
like have her just be like, fuck. So what we thought was going to be like this big moment, she
Hmm.
can't do anything about it. So
Nice.
now it's like the nurse comes and gets her, and it's like, you got to leave. So now she's like, what do I do from here? So she's sitting in her car outside of the hospital, and maybe like she looks in her rear view, and we just see a bunch of people walking straight at her,
Oh, like a
and have her
whole
just be
mob.
like, yeah, and have her just be like, fuck it, and look up on her phone, Darien Lake. And she puts it in the GPS, and she's fucking gone. She starts driving toward Darien Lake.
Nice. Okay. No, I love that. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I see where you're going now. I love this. Okay. No, this is great because I was starting to feel like, okay, like if she knows it isn't real and it's just kind of driving her crazy because she's hallucinating, like, there's, I feel like, what more is there to it for her? You know what I mean? But
Right.
no, this is really interesting. I love this idea, and definitely during this conversation with Rose, I love that twist of her just like blowing her off, like, you think you're the first person to ask me these questions, in like 23 years or whatever, like,
Right.
and it's interesting that she's heard of the 1 week curse before too, because it's like, oh shit, like that would be a really cool, bomb to drop. Like, oh fuck, like this isn't the first time. Clearly this is something that has happened to other people. But she should definitely. She has to plant the seed for the audience to understand. Like, yeah, we know this is Vengabus Part 3, and anyone watching the threequel of a series of movies will probably understand what the Vengabus is. But still, there's the whole concept of, hey, it could be someone's first time, right? So yeah, she has to kind of
Mm-hmm.
explain, like, the fucking, the Vengabus killer or whatever, it, people all talked about how that place was haunted, because the guy killed those people all those years ago, and then, my friend and, her brother and his friends all and girlfriend, whatever, they were all killed there, and everybody was like, oh, it's the Vengabus, and we just had to go and, like, see it for ourselves. But you know what? It wasn't the fucking Vengabus. It was this other fucking crazy guy, or whatever. Like, maybe she mentions, like, yeah,
Right.
or maybe she mentions that there was some sort of ghost, but it was the crazy guy with the fucking knife that was killing her friends that time, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
all Jillian hears is, wait, so there was a ghost, like, so, like, wait,
Right.
there was something to this, because she doesn't know who Cotton Eye Joe is. For all she knows, like, okay, so Mr. Six came back and you saw him kill people, or Mr. Six drove some other person crazy enough to kill people. But regardless, there's something going on there. And, like, okay, that's the only lead I have is creepy shit at the amusement park. So let's go there and see if it helps.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I love it.
So I honestly I don't know where the ending is going yet because I'm kind of like this is all kind of coming together as we go, and I'm like I had a general idea, but I'll be honest, that whole shit with Rose, that bomb drop, that just came out on the fly. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. She's not that important. Like, let's just throw it in there. So I don't know if that's gonna fuck up my ending, but we'll see. We'll see. This is the fun of improv.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely. So, yeah, I think this is neat though. Like, okay, so Jillian is being, haunted or whatever by these people, these smiling people that she's seeing, and by this song. And, like, I just mentioned that, okay, so she thinks that she's hallucinating, but or I should say, maybe in general, the people around her and maybe the audience think that she's just hallucinating. She does think that she's cursed because, of course, she believes in this whole idea that music can just, drive people crazy. There's something about these songs. Like she believed it from the beginning before it even happened to her because she was researching
Hmm.
it and writing about it. So to her, of course, she doesn't think that she's hallucinating. She thinks that this is a curse and that there's something really happening here. There's some kind of an evil spirit or something. So she's going to believe in the Vengabus, and she's basically, she needs to, maybe she thinks she's like leading them somewhere, right? Or maybe she
Right.
just, or I don't know exactly. I'm trying to like piece the logic together, but what I'm thinking is, if there was anything that could interact with these like smiling people that she keeps seeing, like it would be like a ghost, right? Like maybe like maybe
Hmm.
the ghost of Mr. Six and the Vengabus, because maybe they really are some kind of ghosts that she's seeing. Like they're not just random people on the street who, she's hallucinating that they're smiling at her and saying weird lyrics, but like no, like these really are like they are actually all spirits, and that's why you go from an empty road to like a whole crowd of people, following her, because like there wasn't a whole bunch of people there who suddenly she thinks are crazy, but like these spirits are coming after her like now, like en masse.
You smart bastard, you got where I was going.
Okay. Okay, good.
Because I remember how I said I didn't know if this was going to conflict with my ending.
Yeah,
I
no,
had
I think this is okay, perfect. So if you had an ending in mind, I think we're probably headed to the same place.
Yeah, no, you fucking nailed it, dude. Like I was gonna have that they were spirits, like they were other people that had been cursed by the song that didn't make it out.
Oh,
So
okay.
like all of these were spirits, which is why no one else could see them or hear them. Which is why I said like when I came up with the idea for Rose, like in the moment, I was like, oh fuck, yeah, that's why she's like, you think you're the first person because other people have come to her and they got consumed by the curse. They didn't make
Hmm.
it past 1 week. So
Yeah.
they so now every time a new person is cursed, they're being followed by the people who were previously cursed by the song who died to it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah.
That's
The
so cool
cursed
that you got
souls.
there. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't think it's too much of a leap of logic for her to think like, I don't know, if the Vengabus can help me, but like there's something going on at this amusement park. There's some kind of a ghost. Like if there's anything, any place I can go where I can make sense of what's happening, it's to go there. And I don't know that she necessarily has a plan, but
Right.
I'm thinking that she's going to go there. She's going to get into the amusement park. She's going to break in, and like everyone did before, she's gonna like see the the I don't know, maybe they've, or maybe like it's like I don't know, like half demolished by now. Like it's been a long time, or a year or so,
It,
right?
it's been a year, so yeah, so a lot of it'll be like, remember at the start of the last one, we had the rolled out fence like blockade, we had the police tape everywhere, but now this has been an entire year. So maybe maybe yeah, they've like demolished a bunch of the rides. It's like a lot of rubble. There's like the big like, fence rolled around it, like private property all around. But yeah, I like the idea of her going there because at this point, one of the things we should backtrack and establish is that I was thinking it in my head, but we didn't say it, was that
Mhm.
we're getting close to the seventh day. Like
Oh yeah.
maybe like when she goes to see Rose, maybe it's like day six. And like
Mhm.
she keeps getting voicemails. Like this is something we should retroactively add, is like throughout the montage of like her seeing different people and seeing all the craziness and deciding to go see Rose, she's still getting different voicemails, and they keep reminding her 1 week, and it's like, and she looks down and she like realizes like she only has another day. Like what happens at the end of a week? They've been saying 1 week this entire time. Like, are they gonna get me? What's gonna happen? So now she's in full blown like desperate panic
Ooh.
mode.
Yeah. Oh,
So
oh, yeah. Sorry, real quick. Like again, looking at the
yeah.
lyrics of the song, like that makes perfect sense. Like it starts off with 1 week, 1 week, and then maybe she gets a voicemail that says 5 days since you tackled me, and then
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to look at the lyrics. Like, is there one that says like 2 days? Oh yeah, 3 days since the living room. We realized we're both to blame, but what could we do? And it's so it's like this weird countdown. Or hell, maybe again, maybe and when she looks at her phone, like instead of seeing like the voicemail with like the date and the time, maybe right next to it, it just says like day 7, day 6, day 5, day 4, day 3. Like it's this
Right.
countdown, like to kind of drive it home.
Yes, yes, no, I love it. I love it. So like, yeah, so after, Rose blows her off, like she gets back in her car, she's sitting there, like she looks behind her, she sees like the people slowly walking toward her, and she's just like she doesn't know what else to do. She's just like, fuck it. And she types in, Darien Lake on her Google Maps or whatever, puts it into the GPS and starts fucking driving. So now she arrives at like the now defunct, broken down, rubble-ified, private property Darien Lake,
Hmm.
and it's like it's nighttime. And
Yeah.
maybe she's getting other voicemails, like she's getting a ton of different voicemails, and there's a lot of them are the 1 week thing, but maybe we could see like she's ignoring, and we see like Lisa missed call like three, four,
Hmm.
5 calls. So like she's ignoring people that she knows, so now they're worried, they want they want to know, like, is she okay?
Hmm.
So it's just like she's gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of like to tell the audience.
Yeah.
But I
Exactly.
think like she'll get out of her car and she'll look, and we'll see like way down the highway, we'll just see this like fucking legion of like 1 week zombies
Yeah.
marching down the highway toward her. And ever like get out of her car, run over. She scales the fence, or maybe she like finds a hole in the fence and climbs through, whatever.
Oh, and there should be like, construction vehicles and stuff there because like they're in the middle of demolishing the amusement park where there were like, two, massacres. And so yeah, maybe she sees like, I don't know, front loader or whatever these. And then like there's people who were like sitting in there and they, who just like they lean out like they're driving, the construction vehicles and they lean out and start mouthing the lyrics and they climb out of there too. So it's not just like the throng down the road, but it's like, oh shit, like they're all here
Oh,
too, like they're closer just to kind of like increase like the tension that, oh shit, like if she's gonna do something here, she needs to get in the park quick.
well, yeah, it could. Oh, I like this. Okay, so when she pulls up, we could see the construction crew there, and have her like get out of her car. She sees the zombies like walking toward her, and then she looks over, and we got like some dude in a hard hat walking, be like, "Hey, hey, miss," and have her just be like, "Get the fuck out of my way," and have him be like, be like, still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry," like, and have her just fucking run, because it's like, yeah, that isn't real either. Like it's some fucking lunatic, ghost or monster or whatever it is. So she, scales the fence, gets in the park, just rubble everywhere, and she pulls up her phone, pulls up Spotify, and pulls up "We Like to Party" and just puts it on speaker and holds the phone up, just like holds, and it's like this real tinny, go, and we see the 1 week zombies getting closer and closer, like they're all starting to scale the fence, and she's like, come on, like she's freaking out, you know and it's like they're getting closer and closer, and they're coming in from all sides, and then you hear the da, 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 and you see headlights, and it starts fucking mowing the zombies down.
Yes, nice.
And this time they're not getting up, like they're staying down, and she's
Hmm.
just like, oh my god, oh my god, it fucking worked, it worked. And she's like backing up, and she hits something and turns around, and we see this grinning, eyeless, zombified Cotton Eye Joe with a giant gaping hole in his chest where his heart used to be, and have her be like, no, and then raise the knife and have her go running as he slashes down trying to get her. So now Mr. Six is occupied with the 1 week zombies. He's mowing them down. He's just like having a ball, you know, gumming up the works with ghost guts.
Always gumming up the works.
But now we got fucking ghost Cotton Eye Joe chasing Jillian because she just wandered into their fucking playground. So now I have a couple ideas here. I don't know how much longer we want to take this. I feel like we're at the end. Um, so I like the idea of, the ghosts being able to be killed by other ghosts. So she inadvertently used the bad guys to save her, but now one of them's on her tail. What do we do?
Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so Cotton Eye Joe is kind of like a swerve. Like, oh shit. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, uh, let's think about what to do with Cotton Eye Joe because the Vengabus thing I think is cool. Like, yeah, it works. And then of course my first thought was, cool. He's gonna mow them all down, and then he's gonna turn on her. Because
Right?
Mr. Six isn't a good guy. You know,
No,
he's
of
just
course
like,
not.
you're invading my turf, right? Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so Cotton Eye Joe is there. We saw him come up out of the lake. Is he like alive, do we think? Like, did he
Oh
literally
no,
just
he's
survive the drowning, or is he like a ghost or whatever too?
No, he's a ghost. He's got a hole in his chest. He's missing both of his eyes because remember, Mister Six gouged his eyes out with his crowbar.
Hmm.
And like Cotton Eye Joe was stealing hearts, and then Mister Six drags him into the lake. Like, what did he do in the lake? We saw the blood come up. So I'm assuming like Mister Six did to him what he did to everybody else and ripped their heart out. So that's how he killed Cotton Eye Joe, is ripped his heart out in the lake. So because remember, we see like the blood and gore like burble up to the top of the lake, and then the mid credit stinger, we had Cotton Eye Joe's like waterlogged arm like reach up out of the water. So it's like, oh shit, he's now like Mr. Six. He's like one of the spirits that are haunting that ground.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So I think, yeah, this is a really interesting swerve, and it would be for the audience too, because at this point, like, it's all been about Jillian and her, psychosis, right? Her like descent into madness as these, spirits are chasing her. And again, we just think it's hallucinations, and then we realize that it's actually, the spirits of these other victims. She's gonna fight fire with fire by going to the only other place where she knows that there's, like a dangerous ghost, and in the hopes of putting them against each other. Clearly it
Hmm.
works. She wasn't expecting Cotton Eye Joe because she doesn't know about Cotton Eye Joe. She doesn't know anything about Cotton Eye Joe. I don't think even Rose
Yep.
realized, because Rose just knew that there was a killer, and then she ran away, panicked, and fell, passed out. But she never
Yep.
got a backstory. For all Rose knows, that was just Mr. Six in some kind of human form. So, this would be a complete surprise for Jillian. Yeah, she's gonna back up into this dude, like, turn around. This guy, like, he's like horrific. He's gonna bring up his, butcher knife or whatever his weapon is. Yeah, he should totally just bring it down, and she's gonna, just panic, like anyone would. Like, she see a slasher, she's gonna scream. He should get a good cut on her though, like, bring it down across her forearm as she tries to, like, protect herself, or back up, whatever. But we're gonna demonstrate immediately that, oh shit, he's a ghost, but he can touch her, because
Yeah.
Mr. Six, the Vengabus, was able to, as a ghost, was able to affect, like, the real world and, like, kill real people. So he can kill real people and ghosts. So it's like, oh shit, you weren't expecting to show up at, Darien Falls amusement park, and now there's like a slasher killer, like, like out of
Right.
nowhere, coming after Jillian. So that's really cool. Like, we have this sequence where now, she's running away from Cotton Eye Joe, who is pursuing her, like a Michael Myers or like a Jason Voorhees, like, coming to get her. Maybe he's whistling that fucking song. uh, like,
Yes.
if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, but maybe he's just whistling it real slow and creepy. Uh,
Yeah, and then so like while he's following, like she runs off like bleeding from the arm, holding her arm, like trying to get away from him, and he's just like whistling, following her. And again, keep in mind, hole through his fucking chest, bloody sockets where his eyes used to be, but he's still following her, no problem. And then I love the idea of him whistling slowly, and in the background we just hear like, like as the bus is fucking mowing zombies down. And, like we just see like blood and viscera being thrown into the sky as Mr. Six is just like mowing down the zombies. And like
yes.
we have Jillian like running, she's hiding, and like Cotton Eye Joe is like pursuing her, and like we could see him like peering over like one of the piles of rubble of like where the bathroom used to be or something. Like there's like a broken wall still, and she's like crouched down behind it, and he's like looking around. Like again, he's got no eyes, but he's still looking. He's got ghost eyes apparently, you know. So
Yeah.
he's following after, and during this, like while she's trying to hide, her fucking phone should go off again and like like shit, and she's trying to answer it, like what do I do, what do I do? But this time it's Lisa calling, being like, Jillian, where the fuck are you? Like, and we could hear all the like the all the craziness in the background and
Hmm.
all that, and have Jillian answer in a panic. She's like I don't know what to do, I don't know, they're trying to kill me, and she's just like freaking out. So then we
Hmm.
cut to Lisa. We see her like, kind of like look at, maybe they like share their locations or whatever, like on a regular. Maybe we could establish that earlier.
Hmm.
Like you got your location share on, like that type of thing. So she looks down, she sees where Jillian is. She's like, she's fucking 2 hours away. What the hell is she doing? Lisa jumps in the car and takes off.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
she's heading out there. So now we can have some fun, some cat and mouse with Cotton Eye Joe and Jillian while Lisa's on her way.
okay. All right. So, see, that's another swerve. I wasn't expecting there to be another victim, because, well, and not to, like, poke a hole in it, but I'm like, if she's 2 hours away, like, are we gonna just have Cotton Eye Joe and Jillian like play for like I said for 2 hours. Like it seems like a little bit of a long time. Um,
Well, maybe Darien Falls isn't that far away. Maybe it's only like it's the next town over or something like that. We
yeah.
could I don't know how we want to establish the timeline, but I definitely want there to be like a time crunch where she's like speeding down the highway trying to like find this place. And like Jillian's like running around the amusement park where there's like fucking the 1 week zombie. She's got to dodge the Mr. Six bus. We got fucking Cotton Eye Joe pursuing her, and we could just have like a bunch of craziness, and we have plenty of victims because there's all the ghost zombies walking around, and we could just have like Cotton Eye Joe taking off their heads as they're trying to get to Jillian, like no, she's mine type of thing. And so we could still have plenty of blood and gore and have keep cutting back and forth between Lisa getting closer, because my main thing is we need somebody else there with Jillian. We have for the ending to work, we need one other person there.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, or I don't know. Maybe it could even be that Lisa's already in the car when she makes that phone call, and maybe she's just like, I saw you, on the Find My Friends, and you're in the middle of freaking nowhere, and I was like, I'm just worried about you, so I'm gonna like, I'm gonna come find you, and like whatever it is, like I'll help you, like I'll I'll support you, whatever. Like maybe she was already there
Right.
on the way, and like Jillian missed the calls before, and then this one time she like finally picked up, and Lisa was like, oh my God, I've been trying to call you for like an hour and a half, I've been on the road. you know and then
Oh
the
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
solves that problem. Okay.
Yeah, we could even establish that earlier, like when because Jillian, when she's at home and she sees all the craziness and she decides like fuck it, I got to get out of here, and she goes to find Rose. She could like maybe she's acting erratic at her at her dorm, and Lisa's where she's like, where are you going? She's like, I got to figure this out. I got to go, and she like takes off. And maybe Lisa does the whole like find my friend thing, and she's like trying to track her, like trying to keep up with her. And we see like while Jillian is in the hospital talking to Rose, we see Lisa like looking at the phone, location share, and she's on her way to the hospital. And then like
Hmm.
Jillian gets in her car and takes off to Darien Falls, and Lisa sees her like moving. She's like, fuck. And she's like, and so she's still falling. She the whole time she's trying to call her. And remember, we see when Jillian's driving, we see her phone is going off, going off, going off, but she's ignoring it because she thinks it's more of the 1 week thing. And it's
Hmm.
several missed calls from Lisa. So yeah, I love this because that solves the problem right there. As she's been looking for her this whole time, she's been close behind her, but just a few steps too far behind.
Yeah, okay, that makes
Like she
perfect
hasn't
sense.
been
Yeah.
able to get to her.
Yeah, that makes
So
perfect sense.
when the phone rings and she finally answers, she's like, "Oh my god, I've been looking for her," and have like they're trying to kill me. I don't know what to do. And then have like Cotton Eye Joe like swing the blade and have Jillian scream and drop the phone and run, and we could see like we see the phone like zoom in on the phone and been like, "Jillian, oh my god, are you there, Jillian?" Like, and then just cut away. Like so now Lisa knows her friend is in trouble. Someone's trying to kill her from what she said, and now she can't get a hold of her because Jillian dropped her phone and took off running from Cotton Eye Joe. So now Lisa's trying to find her, but her phone is in this amusement park. She's got to go in.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, so she just knows she's in there somewhere. Um, I guess Lisa at first wouldn't see or at least not notice the Vengabus driving around like mowing down like spirits. Like Lisa can't see the spirits, but maybe she could see the Vengabus. I don't know. Like regardless, like it wouldn't be there to scare her away. Like she, maybe we pull up and we see to her it's just okay, there's a big abandoned amusement park, but Jillian's phone is in there, so Jillian must be in there. Maybe she hears Jillian scream at one point, and she's like, "Okay, oh my God,
Yes.
I'm coming!" And then there's the urgency of like Lisa's gonna take off and squeeze through the fence or whatever. So okay, so you said you had an ending, so and you need Lisa there. So I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want to assume that we're taking Lisa off the table. Like I'm assuming she's not there to just be like cannon fodder for Cotton Eye Joe. Um, I don't know what you were thinking, but in terms of like, I think it would be fun if Jillian fights back a little bit with Cotton Eye Joe, and I'm thinking the Vengabus is the Mr. Six killer here is a little bit more of the important like legacy killer. I mean, he's in the title of the movie,
Mhm.
right? So Cotton Eye Joe is a little bit more of a bit player who was a really cool twist, but I think it would be fun if somehow Jillian either she goes back and gets her phone, or when she encounters Lisa, she gets Lisa's phone. But at somehow she like she opens up her phone, and then it's like the fucking 1 week just starts blaring out of her phone. Like she picks it up and like and she sees she has messages, she unlocks it, and then she just hears it's been you know and like the song just starts playing at like full volume, and she's like, oh my god, because of course she's still cursed. But how funny would it be if she didn't realize Cotton Eye Joe was like right behind her, like lifting up his knife or whatever weapon he's got, about to bring it down, and then her phone opens up, it's been and then you see Cotton Eye Joe, like he drops the weapon, he like puts his hands over his ears, and of course the song is going to keep playing, and it's like, oh my god, like Mr. Six was able to like take out the 1 week ghost because it's like ghost on ghost crime, but at the same time, like the 1 week song is like so powerful that it's like it's hurting Cotton Eye Joe, right? Kind of like if you saw a Quiet Place, like when they play like loud feedback noise, it like hurts the weird alien's ears,
Right, right.
and suddenly Cotton Eye Joe is in pain because he's like, make it stop, make it stop.
So I'm sorry, did you say that it was Jillian that the phone played, or was it Lisa? I missed that part.
I was thinking it was Jillian because I don't know what your concept is for what Lisa is there to do. I just think it would be funny if
Okay.
in some way one of the song starts playing on one of their phones, again, and I was thinking Jillian because she's the cursed one, but in some
Right.
way 1 week starts playing really loudly right when Cotton Eye Joe's about to kill one of them, and then the song takes him out because he's just like now he's infected by this earworm song that's going to drive him crazy. Like turn it off, and like it would be an interesting way to stop Cotton Eye Joe with the 1 week song, like curse on curse
Nice.
violence.
Okay, all right. That's okay. It's a little different from where I was going, but I like it. So, okay, here we go. Like, so instead of her dropping her phone, like when Lisa, call maybe she does drop her, but she's running from Cotton Eye Joe. He's swinging at her. Lisa gets park. She's going to see all the construction vehicles and everything, just like Jillian did. But in what she is going to see is they're empty. They're closed down for the day. Like they're
Hmm.
just the vehicles are sitting there. So the quote unquote construction crew that she saw were just the ghosts that only Jillian could see. So
Hmm.
Lisa isn't going to see that. She's going to hear the scream, and maybe she hears softly in the park somewhere, she hears the Vengabus theme playing and sees headlights, and she's like, the fuck? She's like, Jillian, I'm on my way. And she like, gets in there. She's coming in there. She can't see the ghosts she can't see the 1 week ghosts.
Hmm.
All she can see is like this fucking bus zooming around. She's like, what the fuck is going on? So then she hears Jillian scream, goes running, and we could see like, Jillian like running around that rubble area that Cotton Eye Joe was chasing her at where she dropped her phone, and have Jillian, she can see, or Lisa can see Cotton Eye Joe. Like, because again, these
Yeah.
ghosts are a little bit different from those.
Hmm.
They're not curse. They're not a curse. They're just ghosts.
Yeah.
So he's like, like he's trying to kill Jillian, and maybe Lisa goes to grab him, and her hand goes right through him, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And have him turn around and raise the knife, and she falls back, and then have Jillian, because like she just sees her friend about to get killed.
Hmm.
Maybe she hits, like she grabs her phone, and like that's when 1 week starts playing, and it's like
Nice.
it's man 1 week, and Cotton Eye Joe like he grabs his ears and he staggers back, and like like the song stops, and he like lets his hands down again and like comes at her, and she plays the song again, like holds it up, and he like fire bad like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like,
Exactly.
and he's like backing away, and Lisa's like, "What the fuck's going on, Jill? What's happening?" And she's like, "I don't fucking know. I just don't know anymore." And she's holding up the song. Cotton Eye Joe's backing away from her, and then the fucking Vengabus flies by and mows him down too. Fucking explodes everywhere.
Good, right? Mr. Six is like, don't forget I still hate you, motherfucker.
Right? He's like, you was my bitch before, you my bitch again. And he's still driving around, just like, and I keep picturing like from inside the ghost bus, like have him just like turning the wheel, like bopping in his seat. There's just like blood and viscera hitting the like bluish see-through window because it's all ghostly, and he's
Yeah.
just got the wipers knocking the guts off.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So taking Cotton Eye Joe off the table, Jillian and Lisa are like crouched down, like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what's going on? and have, Jillian trying to explain it to her, like the whole, like, I've been cursed by this fucking song. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Is the seventh day. They keep saying 1 week. They keep saying 1 week. It's like I got to get rid of it. Like, he's killing all the ghosts, but they keep coming back. Like, she's just freaking out, and she's pointing at stuff that Lisa can't see.
Hmm.
So Lisa's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, I don't know, I don't know." And then she looks at Lisa and she's like, "Hey, would you do me a favor and listen to this?" And she starts playing the song. And
Yep.
Lisa's like, "Okay, what are you talking about?" And as she's listening, she starts seeing the ghosts appearing.
Oh, I see. Nice.
And she's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck?" And as she's seeing them, they start disappearing from Jillian's point of view. She
Oh, yeah.
passed the curse, and she's like, "I'm free, I'm free." And she takes off running. And Lisa's like, "What are you talking about? What, Jillian, where are you going?" And as, like, we see Jillian running for the front gate, the Vengabus slams into her,
Yes.
killing her. Blood hits the screen. It wipes out. The credits begin to roll. And yes.
That's awesome. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, yeah, she's gonna like take off running and just start yelling, I'm free," and then you see Lisa like Jillian like, "What are you doing?" And maybe Jillian like after she starts playing the song on her phone, maybe she just like tosses it behind like a barrier or through some kind of a net or something where like it's gonna keep playing and Lisa can't stop it right away, like so it just keeps on going, and then Jillian just runs away and you see Lisa like, "Jillian, like what are you doing? Like who are all these people? Like oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" Like she starts realizing what's happening, and then you see Jillian's just like, "I'm so sorry, but I'm free. I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm free. I'm free." Splat, and just
Yes.
oh my god.
Oh, damn. Yeah, so that didn't end the way I originally intended, but I like it.
Oh yeah, I love that. Maybe do we want to end with maybe we don't like see Lisa again, but maybe as we like pan the camera out away from the amusement park, maybe we just keep hearing. Should we hear her start screaming like oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like just whatever like whatever she's experiencing, and just kind of do we go to fade to black with the splatter of Jillian in front of the bus, or do we go to black with Lisa screaming as she's realizing like what's been done to her?
I like that. Yeah. So let's do the splatter. And then have we hear Lisa, scream, and maybe we could even see, like, from her point of view, we see all the ghosts. Like, there's just the ghosts have all sprung back up, and they're all walking toward her, and she's screaming like, "Who are you? What's going on? What's happening?" And just have her scream, and then we pan out from the amusement park
Hmm.
where there's just, like, we hear the scream fade into the night, and then the Vengabus starts playing.
Yeah. Da, 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 da. Yeah. And that would be actually that would be a really cool thing to do. Like, yeah, let's play, the fucking "We Like to Party" Vengabus song over the end credits. Like this whole movie, we've subjected the audience to listening to 1 week. Like how many times? Like dozens, hundreds? I don't know. Like it's just been
Right?
over and over and over again. And so like while it would make sense to also put it on the end credits, I think thematically, since this is Vengabus 3, like yeah, of course we got to go back to the original and just and make people listen to that fucking, late 90s party jam.
We like to party. We like to party.
Oh god.
Oh god.
All right, we got there, man.
All
We
right,
got there.
we did
That-
it.
you were right. That was fucking weird, but we got there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, I really liked the twists and turns along the way. I thought that was a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. And there was a couple of like stumbles because it was like this is a sort of a new way of figuring the story out, because you were like, okay, I have all of this stuff that I want to do, and there's this big empty space in the middle, and I'm like, let's fill it in. And so it's like, okay, and so I was trying to like not step on the toes too much of like what you had already set up, because like, there was a bunch of stuff I thought of where I was like, oh well, what if we did this and what if we did this, but it's like, yeah, but I don't know if that's where you're going, so I'm trying like, all right, let me catch the wave here and like follow along. But yeah, I think it worked out pretty well.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, this one was a shit ton of fun. I think we, talked enough at the beginning of the episode. And man, I'm like really tired. There's something about
I
these
know.
improvs that like it just takes it out of me. Like, like I'm just sitting in a chair in my office, but like, whew, like, I'm tired now.
Mentally, they are exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning into part 3 of the Vengabus saga. We appreciate you always stopping by the Raised by Rentals parlor. You can find out more about us online at raisedbyrentals.com, at Raised by Rentals on the socials. As we always mention, we do belong to the Rad Pantheon, a super team of podcasters, artists, musicians, an art collective of creative friends supporting each other and helping to spread the gospel of rad stuff. If you like this show, there's definitely a good chance that you'll dig one of the other Rad Pantheon teammates, and you can check that stuff out at radpantheon.com, at Rad Pantheon on the social medias. What about you, Mike? What do you got going on?
Well, the Boogeyman's Closet is definitely going to be dealing with some changes coming up. But we just released our Sinister 2 episode, and I have Ghoulies 2 should be coming out. Then we have Insidious, and I'm not quite sure where we're going from there just yet, but there will be more news with the Boogeyman's Closet soon. And of course, there's always Count Creepyhead Saturday Morning Monster Mash, where 3 grown man children talk about toys, pop culture, and Muppets.
Always a good time. Yeah, definitely always a good time. Check out those other 2 podcasts, The Boogeyman's Closet and Ken Creepyhead Saturday Morning Monster Mash, and all the other podcasts associated with the Rad Pantheon. As I said, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Raised by Rentals program. If you had fun with us, visit us on the socials, drop us a line, leave a comment, leave a podcast rating. Let us know what you think we should improve next time. And with that, I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And we have to return some videotapes.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying get back together, come back and see me. 3 days since the living room. I realized it's all my fault, but couldn't tell you. Yesterday you'd forgiven me, but it'll still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry.
Hold it now, I want to hoodwink. Does it make you stop, think? You'll think you're looking at Aquaman. I summon fish to the dish, although I like the chalet Swiss, I like the sushi, cause it's never touch a frying pan. Hot like wasabi when I bust rhymes. Big like Leanne rhymes, because I'm all about value. Bert Camper's got the mad hits. You try to match wits, you try to hold me, but I bust through. Gonna make a break and take a fake out like a stinking ache and shake out like vanilla. It's the finest of the
We put creatures in our bodies to control our minds.